Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Phil's Recap and Review. The Last of Us, Season 2, Episode 2, Through the Valley, the recap, breakdown, and review commentary. We're here, and don't worry, everybody, it's Easter. That means Joel's coming back in 6 days, right? Is it 6 days, 3 days? Or we give him chocolate buddies? Don't worry, kids, he's coming back. But yes, obviously, I mean, if you clicked on a video at this point, spoiler alert, I'm excited to finally be able to talk about this. I don't have to, like, walk around this, walk through the shadow of the valley of talking about this thing right now. But Joel has officially gone golfing, I guess, or Abby went golfing, or the scene happened, or Pedro Pascal is apparently gone from the show, or at least he may come back in flashbacks. They did the thing. The build-up was interesting. We're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down. I have not necessarily played the games, but I do understand that tonight was probably a bit different than the way it was displayed in the games. Joe will be here for that. And also, we have you for that. The phone lines are open, 781-990-8509 all night. You can call on in, or you can text if I miss your comment in the chat. That's 781-990-8509. Give your thoughts on this particular episode, what you thought of this conclusion, if you were surprised by it, all that sort of stuff. But make sure, if you haven't already, you hit the subscribe button. Join us all season to talk about this show, as this show reaches a very interesting point to kind of move on without its main draw in some ways, its main star. But beyond any of that, we'll get into that later, and we'll, of course, recap this entire episode. We got with us the live motherfucking chat, and, of course, Joe Dirty Locks. We'll break this down in a second. But, Joe, first off, what are your initial thoughts coming off this episode? Did it live up to your expectations from the game? And in general, now that you've met Abby a little bit more, does the actress pull past maybe some of the physical limitations compared to her game counterpart? So I'm just curious what your take. We didn't talk in our whole intro little thing. We didn't talk once about your thoughts or either of our thoughts about this episode. So I'm curious, where are you in this going? I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, it certainly was different in aspects of the game from what it is now in the show. There was some things that seemed pretty spot on as well from my remembering, from my my horrible memory. But all in all, I wasn't let down. I liked the episode, but I felt like I've seen it.
Right.
And not just because I have seen it, because like none of that zombie horde shit down at the fucking town happened in the game. So
the whole like hard home, like the town going crazy and all that wasn't in the game.
Yeah, that's new.
Did you like all of that? Did that add something to the whole situation for you, or no? Okay, interesting. Because I was very curious about the whole bloater thing and the way that stopped. I thought one of the parts I didn't necessarily like about the episode at that point was the way Tommy finished off the bloater, or it was very television cliche where it's like the last minute, and we had that happen a few times in the episode.
It was television cliche, but if you've played the game, like you've been there.
Is that's okay? Okay, fair.
It takes a lot to take those guys fucking down, but the thing is it was also kind of lame because they have a range attack also, which is pretty fucking deadly. So running from them is also pretty hard. Also, like, you set up all these defenses at the front gate as if they use the street, like as if they're gonna like, it just seems weird that they didn't have
a back gate. They didn't do 360.
Not a back gate, but a full circle.
Yeah,
nobody should be in basements. Nobody. Kids should be up on the fucking, they should all be together. Like they should. I don't know. I really found some of it to be very bad planning. I found some of it to be like, you have all this time and you have all this manpower and you have all this time to like do stuff for years now. Like a moat. Where's your fucking
I
boat?
almost thought that that's where they were going with like the fire moat, that they were
Like,
gonna.
and I know the snow and the snow would fill it in and all this shit, blah 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 blah, and ice and all that. But still,
Let's get into the live chat a little
I
bit.
don't know. I just figured there should have been like,
So for you, the more, and I'm not gonna say troublesome, but the more part that snuffled your uppagus a little bit was more the attack, with some of the issues with the attack, the stuff to do with Abby and Joel. You thought was handled pretty well for you.
it was pretty much spot on for the game. Only it wasn't. It was Tommy and Joel and not Dina and Joel. And Tommy and Joel were out looking for Dina and
Uh,
Ellie
Ellie.
when they ran into Abby and brought Abby back to their friends, and then that was that. Same thing. Only Joel had to watch, and I think Ellie might have showed up there as well and had to watch. But that's a little fuzzy too.
My thought, having not really had anything, I feel like there were some things that they could have done. I thought it was pretty well done, especially when we get into the scene. I thought it was pretty graphically done, and they went there with it. And I thought when Ellie arrived, it got emotional and intense. And I thought especially a little bit. It got ugly. I especially thought the best part of it, the best exchange was between Abby and Joel when she's monologuing and he turns to her and goes, "Just shut up and get it over with." I thought that was the best moment of it, and it was a good line read between the two of them. They had a good sort of thing going on back and forth. I think she, from an acting standpoint, pulls it off, but there are some moments where her lack of bulk definitely, like, I wish I didn't know the way she looked before. I probably have a different take. Is she more intimidating in that situation? But I thought she pulled it off really well. I thought it was a good acting performance. But my problem with it is I feel like it was too. They called their shot a little bit too much with it. Tony was talking about this a little bit earlier, or I might be misremembering exactly what I'm saying, but I'm going to take off something that I understood and feed into this, that could, and ask you and go back, because the scene, or something I was saying on the earlier stream, I guess I should say, about seeing the stuff earlier, seeing Abby at the grave, the beginning of last episode, and seeing a few moments with her and the crew before that moment, before the moment of the switch at the cabin and all that sort of shit. I feel like if they kept it a secret a little bit more, and we didn't see her earlier, and already we knew if they bumped into it, she was searching out Joel, like from last week. And if they had kept that sort of a mystery, and that was just someone he saved, and it turns around once they're back in the cabin, and that's the moment where you're like, holy shit, wait. And she turns around, she monologues that monologue. Oh, remember the doctor? I'm the doctor's thing. And that's the first we learn of it. I think from a television standpoint, it would have been a stronger what the fuck. But instead, we kind of could call it that, like, the minute this happens, something bad's gonna happen. So, but if they had sort of played it off more that she was just someone that they saved, like we see these people randomly in the things, and then we're like, oh, okay, like this could be someone good, this could be someone helpful, then maybe we might. I think it might be slightly more effective, Joe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of things that could have made this more effective. I don't think they needed to change what they showed us of what they needed to do, in my opinion, and I said it last week, is they needed to open the show with Abby and give us a full episode or so of like Abby in Washington. Maybe planning this without mentioning the name of Joel that they got to go find, or pick them up somewhere along the line and get into it. You know, I think so far they're handling it wrong, because there's absolutely no way anyone's on Abby's side. It's not going to have the same effect that it had for gamers.
Were you? And I want to get into the chat in a second here, Joe, because people definitely have a lot of thoughts here. But this is something I don't know for the game. In the game, is Abby relatable? Do you feel for her in that moment when you find out what happened? In the game, do we get time with Abby before she grabs Joel, or is the first time we see her turning on him? Like
No, we have time with Abby.
Okay, so the game starts. Last of Us Part 2 starts. You're playing as Abby.
But we have time with Abby getting to like the mountain lodge. We have time with Abby before she gets rescued. With like we have a little fight scene between her and her main guy that's there that has a plan, and the plan is to talk her out of this shit.
Yeah. I forget. I don't know their names yet, but I have it written down.
Yeah,
somewhere.
Sure. She'll talk out of this real easy after walking from fucking Seattle to Jackson. Yep. Sure,
so that's where I mean, like in the show, is it a little bit more? And I mean, the game is because she's more physically intimidating. Is she more?
No, that doesn't really play into this part of it. It plays more into Abby's character as a whole and the intimidation that Ellie might feel about having to fight this bigger woman.
I get it. So more about how the hell is Ellie going to take down this force of nature
that's been training for the last 5 years specifically to go kill a monster who, like I said, I got my count right, 19.
And Ellie's a guitar playing emo kid that can fight.
Right. Good. So it's supposed to play on that a little bit, but like since we see Ellie fighting the big guy earlier,
and she's the same, and she's literally the same
thing for her,
and she seems more intimidating than Abby on their own. Like if you look at both of them in the show to this point, like I would say that Ellie seems the more intimidating of the two. So let's get into the live chat. JJ says Joel is handsome. Thank you, JJ, for jumping on in. Sonic, your boy, get him to you. Abby was right. Joel is handsome. I think most of the world thinks that. Jake Jens, you're playing as Abby when you get saved by Joel. Oh, that's very interesting, Jake. Sonic says you get to know more about Abby during the game. Danny from LA. Great to see Danny from LA. Joe still has the same camera and mic from The Walking Dead season 1. Actually, he's gone back in time. This is his first setup, and then he had a real setup, and then he hasn't reset up his setup again. But hopefully maybe by the end of the season, or at least we'll see how this works out for Joe. But either way, it's good to have Joe here.
Move things around in my house.
Oh my God! Whatever you just did, don't move now. Your audio sounds so much better right now.
When my brother-in-law took his life in the summer, we had to put a lot of shit in different places, and I ended up having to take my long story. So, yeah.
But and the short story of it is I'd rather have you here on camera on your phone rather than not here. So Uncle Phil and Uncle Joe, come on. We're quickly, and I mean very quickly, turning into those old guys from the Muppets. I mean, we're gonna have to change the name of the show to Stratford and Waldorf or whatever the fuck the name is.
Yeah, Waldorf and Mortimer.
Yeah, exactly. We're getting there, Joe. We're getting there. We got Mara Jade Stark Walker. I think that's the first time I've ever said your name right, Mara. Hi, Phil, Joe, chat. Just stopping in to say hi while I go and start the episode. Great to see you, and I hope you jump on in. Joe, why is your face wet? Joe better give this episode a 10 out of 10. We got Shorty Womp Womp, the sweetest Jersey girl.
I need it explained to me why it would be a 10 out of 10.
I mean, I don't think it's a 10 out of 10. Is it the best 10
out of 10?
Is it the why it is? Is it the best Last of Us television episode so far?
No. I
say the first one is. I think the first episode was the best one.
I think the first one is maybe the best.
Oh, and that bottle episode, the what's his name?
Episode.
Yeah, that episode was good.
Yeah,
But that's a cheat. That's a bottle episode. It's like not even an episode about Ellie and Joel. It's not fair.
That's what they missed out on, is they gave us an episode like that in season 1, and I really feel like they should have given us that right now in season 2. We needed, like, one of the things the game tries to do, and it's arguable, yes, whether or not it succeeds, because once the rumor starts going around, or once you get to the part there's plenty more character development for Abby that you go through.
Yep.
But the deal is you're already semi rooting for
You're
her.
already invested at that point, right?
Right, because you're playing as her when Joel saves you. Right? So it's even like you're betraying Joel. So this doesn't, they weren't able to figure out a good enough way to get the audience to experience the same thing as the game player experienced.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's pretty big.
especially in a situation like this. I'm going
And
to
and that's what makes this, to me, like it really does feel like a TV trope episode. It reeks
Neganish.
of Negan, and it reeks
Reeks of Negan. The
of
words we
like
couldn't say
Ned
before
Stark
this week.
or something like that, right? And
But did it
here's
do
the
it
thing.
first? But is it one of those examples of like if someone went and watched Wicked, for instance, they might go, "Oh, that's just the same trope that the original. You know, you take the Disney villain and you make her you get her backstory and you find out her stuff." But Wicked did it first. It just wasn't as popular, and then it became popular later. Is this an example of this did it first and then influenced some other shit? So it's okay that it's doing it again.
The comic book for Negan came out first, and certainly
So do you feel like The Last of Us was influenced by the Negan situation in some
no,
ways?
because it plays differently in the video game.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So in the video game, it's not a ripoff. It doesn't reek of the Negan thing.
But this
it
tonight reeked of vegan for you. Negan for you.
Does.
Did I say vegan? Did
then,
this reeked of vegan for you?
And then again, it kind of doesn't also because, you know, Abby at least doesn't want Dina to have to watch this because that's bad to have to do to her, right?
No,
like,
I think
going to hurt anyone else. And these weren't aspects.
Would she have done that if the other people weren't there?
She would have done what?
I think Abby would have killed them both if the other people weren't there. She would have no problem. She would have no problem killing them all.
Like, she would have killed Dina in front.
That's what I'm saying. She would have started the night off with killing Dina in front of Joel, and then it would have been even longer. And that's the vibe I got from her, anyways. And that actress did a great job in an acting performance, making me believe she wanted to fucking brutalize this dude. So applause to her for pulling off that vibe. But she was not the problem. If any problems we were going to break down, I don't think it was about her any of the acting performances here.
No, the problem here is you've solely made Abby a villain. So they're like, yeah, okay, there's people that are going to say, that's right, Joel killed her father. She's just getting revenge. She's just taking the justice of a daughter and all that. Yep. But if you remember the circumstances of why Joel did what he did, each and every one of those guys was shooting back at him.
Yeah.
Well, what the doctor did, the doctor was about to kill my daughter.
Yeah. No, I mean,
right? Like, oh, the girl that I decided is now my daughter.
I mean, he could have shot the doctor in the kneecaps, but whatever. But that I'm nitpicky. I'm about
or
to.
You didn't have to kill the guy at all, like, and then the guy lives and like sends more and more and more people so he can get his.
He could have gone Terminator 2 and shot everyone in their kneecaps if he really wanted to. Rishi pitches that 420 nod was great with the 7-Eleven. I did like how they made sure they showed the weed store on 420. That was a good little touch. The horde attack was like watching The Long Night, White Walkers of Game of Thrones. We're going to get into that loner incognito that did kind of have some hard home White Walker kind of moments in this episode. The worst part of this episode was the infected ignoring Tommy.
That was another thing that I wanted to get to.
Yeah, we'll get to it when we get to the recap for sure.
Well, this has to do with the macro of it all. Is because of the hard home aspect of this episode with the zombie horde attack that comes out of nowhere. And they kind of know might be coming, so it's not really out of nowhere. They're already semi-prepared, right? This reeks of distraction it's not really there to counterweight losing Joel and that there's all this death at once and the whole town is going to be grieving. So fuck Ellie and her soul grief, right? Which it does.
I didn't think about that way. I thought you were going with a different direction, but keep going.
But it makes it a distraction in general for the emotion we're supposed to feel as an audience. We don't need this other shit. We shouldn't need this other shit, this zombie attack to get our heart pumping. Our heart should be pumping and beating, and we should be sitting on the edge of our seat solely for Joel in this moment. All of that other shit that was going on, in my eye, felt far more of a distraction from weak material
than an elevation. You felt like the zombie attack thing was more distraction than elevation for you.
Correct.
Interesting.
And I think it would have been good on its own or in a different episode.
Like maybe this would have been like during the grieving episode that happens to add on to it. Like while they're grieving Joel, all of a sudden in episode 3 there's a fucking that happens, and it's just like everything becomes even worse.
Much better idea, Phil. I absolutely agree with you in that, because now what we're going to be stuck with next week, I feel like, is going to be a soul grieving episode.
I think we're gonna have an Abby episode, aren't we?
You put your entire audience in a spot where they get to grieve the loss of their beloved character for a whole fucking week, and then you put an episode in front of them where at least half of it is going to be about that same grief by trying to extend it. I think this is a bad move. I think you have us on the edge of our seat maybe for the first half, with just Abby shit. Again, first episode and a half of just fucking Abby. We didn't need to get back to Joel and Ellie yet.
Fair, nice. Fair, especially if you're extending this to a couple of seasons. Oh, we got our first call of the night. The wonderful, and Joe, hopefully you can hear this. We got the amazing Anna from Red Lipstick Club, co-host of the After Dark. Welcome to the show, Anna. Anna's like, fuck this. I don't want to talk to these assholes. No, Anna will call back. We're disconnected with her, but we'll have Anna call in a second here and share her thoughts on this episode.
She thought she was going to leave a voicemail. She's called before and said that.
Probably. I can switch it to voicemail. Let me switch it to voicemail. So you got. Oh no, I think Anna's calling it.
All right, she's calling back.
Let's see if it works. If not, we can switch it to voicemail. Welcome to the show, Anna. How's it going?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. What are some of your thoughts of that? So I'm gonna let Anna take over the show for a little bit, and Joe and I are gonna lean back here. What's going on? Share some of your thoughts, Anna.
Okay, so I have not. Let me preface this, people. If you don't know who I am, I host a late night show with Teflon TV and Phil. Great time. And Joe. One time I want to get Joe on the show. We got to get Joe on a late time show sometime, because I feel like that would be crazy. I feel like anytime I see a white guy with dreads, I feel like there's some extra energy there. So I need to see that. But anywho. Yeah, so okay, I watched this episode. I have not played the game, you guys. Let me preface this. I have not played the game. I watched this episode. From watching all the shows, everybody's watching people review this show, so on and so forth. We all had the idea. We all knew he was going to die at some point, right?
Yeah.
It came this episode. Number one, did I think it was going to come this soon? Yes and no. I felt like this season would be a lot of flashbacks of what happened within that 5 years. I don't think I thought that they would show his death randomly in like a second episode. If anything, to be able to see them doing like a funeral or something like that.
Yeah.
In episode 1, and then like maybe episodes 2 through 4 would be everything that's happened in those 5 years, since they were at the hospital, and then maybe episode 5 or 6 they would actually take him out, right? So I feel like it felt very misplaced to me, because I thought they would kind of build up to that. I felt like they would show us that it happened in episode 1, and then 2 through 4 they would show us how we got there. And then episode 5 is where it would actually happen.
Yeah.
So I was a little confused as to why they rushed to take him out.
Especially when they're doing a two season version of this season. Again, Joe,
Yes.
you're the one that's played the game, and I don't want spoilers or anything like that. But it seems to me that it would have been cool to, if you're going to add television stuff, and I kind of thought similar, that maybe even they would stretch it out to the end of this season, like the climax of this season would be this. And then next season would be everything that happens afterwards, just because it's such a big moment. I know Tony's going to talk a lot about this in the future too, but it is an interesting question. Like, coming this point forward with Pedro off the show, can Bella and Tommy and Abby carry the show? Are people going to be like,
Yep.
Pedro's gone, or do you keep Pedro on all season?
I think the actors can do it. I think they've proven they can do it.
I think the only way they would have been able to carry the show without Pedro is if the Abby character would have been somebody that we were emotionally bought into, and also was somebody like famous to the point where we had to tune in for them. Like, remember when I told you it should have been like Florence Pugh? Like,
Yep.
and people think that's crazy.
No,
but
I think
person
it's
is
a great.
famous
I think that's a
enough.
great pick, Anna. She was definitely on my
Yeah.
list too. I think because she can play. She brings a little bit more screen presence to it. To your point, and like
Right.
brings people to have to watch because of her.
Correct. I feel like if it would have been a character or an actress of that caliber that could have brought their own audience outside of, Pedro, it would have made sense to do something like this so early. But to me, they did not have a strong enough actress cast as Abby. Number one, for me to be bought into that character, but number two, for maybe us to want to follow that character's storyline into another season. Because that's basically what you're telling me at this point.
Yep.
Is that season 3 is going to be us following Abby and Ellie at this point. It could be different pathways, right? But ultimately, I'm going to be following them. And so they did not put a strong enough actress, in my opinion, in that Abby role to carry another season. Now, does it mean that we're not going to watch it? No, but for it, in my opinion, for it to be at the level of a show in which I was expecting it to be for season 2, it's not being the mark for me. And then I think they did great the whole death scene. If it would have just been a one-off and I never saw this again, I never was going to hear from that character again, okay, sure, that's great and all. I thought it was very emotional. I thought they did a great job with that. But at the end of the day, you're taking something that it's almost like what's the penultimate? It felt like it was like a penultimate in episode 2.
Yeah, and to your point too, Anna, like what they're doing is in Joe. I guess I have a question for you. Does it feel like this that when Abby comes in, is it like she's taking over protagonist? She's not just killing Joel. She's like, I'm taking over a lead character role, like co-lead character, and she becomes like the rest of this season. To Anna's point, do you feel like in the game, right, if she becomes co-protagonist with Ellie, and do you think they're going to do the same thing in the show, and do you think they've done enough to make you want to have split stories? Because that's what they're probably going to do. They're going to have like half the time with Ellie and half the time with her from her point of view.
I mean, that's what the game is. That's exactly what the game is. It's back and forth. His death comes really early in the second game. It's not super early. You're still getting used to, like, there's aspects of gameplay that you can't replicate. Like, every game has that, intro period where they got to slow things down for the new player.
Yeah,
So
tutorial intro shit. Yeah.
Right? So you get a lot of this story and dialogue and stuff to get you into Abby as a character, and then you find out you turn heel on Joel, right? So they kind of hope, and it's a little early in my taste in the game too, and when I hit that part and I got back to like, then you play as Ellie for a little bit, and when you get back to Abby, I was like, okay, great. Now I just got to get through this part and I get back to Ellie and go kill this one. Like,
right. Okay. So
I had to restart because like I was like, I'm going to go fast. I'm going to get through this. I just want to get there. I want to get to her and finish this off. And you realize like you really can't kind of play it like that on the difficulty
right. So
level.
you got to figure, as Anna was saying, they're going to try to make us
So
care about Abby, and
yes, you do get to care about her as a character, and she does some pretty amazing things as a character, as you playing her as the character.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of think they blew it at the beginning here, and they needed to just, if you wanted an audience to get behind this character in any way, shape, or form, you needed to have some pretty dramatic episodes that, yes, like you said earlier, doesn't ruin the surprise of that this is the daughter of the doctor at the hospital. Just that maybe you can even, say that she's really mad at Joel, but we needed at least the first episode and a half or whatever to really get to know this character,
Yeah.
so you can get behind her. And then, yeah, we're going to follow Ellie around to get to her a little. And maybe before she gets to her, we go back to Abby. Maybe we're with Abby when she gets to her. But like, I don't really know for sure. And in large part, I think the actresses are decent enough to get us through. And there will be cut scenes or flashback scenes of Ellie and Joel, or Joel and whatever. There's going to definitely be
Right.
that.
And
This
we'll
is not the last we see of him.
we'll talk about that a little bit. Anna, like
I think the issue is we're at the point now where it's been 5 years since those deaths, since we saw them bury those people. I see no physical differences in those individuals to make me feel as though 5 years.
We're nodding in excitement, Anna. Yes.
Yep. I absolutely 100%. Agree with you there. They needed to do something. They needed to make this girl younger in the doctor scene, and or something. And they needed to. I absolutely feel like they needed to make her take this as seriously as anything that you would ever take seriously in your life. This is a guy that went through the hospital, and she even counts it out: 18 fucking soldiers and one fucking doctor. You murdered that day. Just you. You were alone. You did it all by your lonesome, right? Like
you get to train like Rocky. Yeah, you get to train like Rocky.
Eat your
3,
fucking Wheaties and your spinach and say, "All right, now I'm ready." No, on top of the Wheaties and spinach,
Anna, from what Joe just said, did you get that kind of vibe from this Abby?
No, I got like, she made sure she wanted to hold her rifle right in a couple of scenes, but then does like the stupidest fucking shit in the world, and in the frozen tundra decides, I'm going to slide down this fucking cliff face.
Now,
I love how you said now, Anna, and then Joe answered.
Yeah, I think he heard. He didn't quite.
18 fucking soldiers. I'm sorry, 18 soldiers and your papa.
Anna, what would you think, having not seen it?
If I will say this, and I'm literally speaking this, and I've never played the game, y'all. So I'm coming from somebody that's never played the game. I'm watching this show. Last episode, I watched this woman look exactly the same as she does now 5 years later.
Yep.
I don't see anything that's showing me wear or tear. I don't see it. She's not grown, because remember we were all thinking, okay, well maybe she's not buff 5 years ago, but in that 5 years, perhaps she's gotten buffer and bigger. There was no difference. And also, she was not stronger. So she's out in the snow. She's shivering and quivering. She's not showing like that she's some kind of boss. She's running away from the infected. She's not like shooting anybody. She's acting scared. She doesn't act like somebody that has been training to like take down the biggest and the baddest. So nothing that they showed me and during this episode would lead me to believe that this person has been training for 5 years to take out who's supposedly supposed to be the biggest and baddest in the country and the assassin of the world. If you thought that this man was who you thought he was, you would be like, she should have been like a soldier in that snow. They should have had her standing literally like a soldier as if nothing was happening, and all the people should have been looking outside at her saying, damn, is she even cold? It should have been like militant to that point where she had like no feelings, like just, and they did not do it right. Even if she wasn't buff, even how she interacted and her, nothing about her told me this individual has put in a lot of training and has hardened herself to the point where she's going to take a golf club or whatever she had and beat somebody to death with it.
Did it seem more whiny and bitchy
but
to
it was
you as well?
basically off
It did
camera.
for me.
Yeah, absolutely, Anna. And I'm going to let you go now because we're going to get into the recap, but call back if you want a little bit later. And everyone, if you haven't already, please, and Anna's going to say something in the chat, click on Anna's name and subscribe to her channel. And we'll definitely, we're going to keep trying to get Tony to do an After Dark, but we'll do an After Dark soon. And Anna's amazing.
We'll get him sometime.
Yeah, Anna's amazing. And thank you so much, as always, for checking it out and popping on in, Anna. We're lucky to have you jumping on in. So thank you so much.
For sure. All right, bye, y'all.
Bye. The wonderful Anna. We're going to get a little bit more chat before we get into our recap here.
She's absolutely right.
Yeah, no, and yeah, she's and that's cool to get your perspective someone that's played the game and then her watching it for the first time and seeing her reaction to that and seeing what, because I feel like I'm in a weird position because I knew what was going to happen and I know some elements of Abby without seeing it for the first time. So Anna's kind of like that. And some people we have in the chat, that fresh perspective. So it's great to hear everyone think. We got Mandrell. I played the video game, so I knew what was going to happen. We got Mandrell, the amazing Mandrell, in the live chat. Great to see you guys. And please, if you haven't already, hit that like button. Share this out. Mr. Caskell, my emotions are very high for this episode. Mr. Caskell, I'm fucking high for this episode, too. It's 4:20. Hemorrhoids hurt. They do hurt. That's the truest screen name I've ever heard in my life, Joe, on YouTube. Hemorrhoids hurt. That's a great screen name. I don't think I'll watch the series anymore. I was only interested in Joel, but I'll continue to watch your streams. Hemorrhoid hurts. Honestly, that's all I care. I mean, you don't have to watch the show. You like, as long as you watch us, that's all Joe and I really care. Pedro was just too busy to stick around. He is busy. He's stretching out. Get it? Fantastic Four.
We can see the writing on the wall that this is turning into. No, it's already planned for his character.
Yeah, and so he's like, I can sign on for the Fantastic Four. I'm fine. I can take over as the guy in the MCU for a while. Non-fiction. Great to have non-fiction in the live chat. Should have built up Abby more. Give her some more gray areas. Right now, I hate her for not feeling Ellie, and I'm not feeling Ellie too much. That's the problem we're at, Joe. And we got Edward Martin, the greatest, most awesome dude in the world, who is feeling this episode. We got Jackie C, the wonderful mod.
I want to get to what he just said. That is absolutely. See, that's the thing. They gave us an episode where Ellie walks around and is all fucking whiny and like just upset at the world. And
yeah, I don't like this Ellie, Joe. Yeah, I don't love Ellie. I don't like. That's the problem we're facing. Do you feel like are both of our main characters now? No, because and with Tommy gone, like I guess no. Can they make Ellie more likable at this point than Abby, or is Abby gonna be the more likable one? And is that why people are gonna?
I mean, either way, you're already. That's what I think. Ellie is already the more likable one. If we had stayed away, so everybody that came back to watch this show was coming back because they really liked it. They really liked the story. They really liked the characters. So it's not like if you didn't give them Ellie and Joel on day one, they weren't going to say, I'm not coming back day 2 or day 3, right? Like they're not. They waited 2 years for them. They're going to wait 2 more. By giving us this version of Ellie, this upset little girl who is pissed at the world that we've seen a million times in shows, even though it doesn't last long. She apparently is over it at the beginning of this, kind of, but still, And we get almost the same thing from this other girl.
Yeah, you were saying that when Anna was still on, like the whininess a little bit.
What's that?
You were talking about Abby's like, is Abby whiny in the game as well?
No.
Is she monologue-y? Is she monologue-y?
But you gotta understand, you go through so much, and like you kind of are like, yeah.
I do want to spend a special love to first of all Joseph in the live chat. Great actor. Bella Ramsey, and I think she does pull it. That's not the problem. She is an amazing actress, but I do want to give some love to the wonderful AK. She's got the little wrench in the live chat, and if you haven't, click on AK's name and subscribe to AK's channel, and make sure you check out all of the fun stuff that my good friend and who fed me once, Joe. I was hungry. I was hungry on the streets of Nashville, and AK fed me. She just gave me food. It was delicious. So thank you, AK, and thank you to everyone in the live chat that's joining Joe and I tonight, and everyone that joined earlier on Tony's stream. Make sure you subscribe to both channels as we can babble about more of this silliness. But Joe, we're going to talk all about a bunch of stuff tonight because we're just getting started. But you know what time it is? It's time to not waste any more time. It's time to get into that one and only recap!
Oh, there's a puppy. I have a vicious dog since the night that was sitting in the back of the apartment.
I gotta
Dude,
stop
what the
because
fuck did you wake me up for, dude?
what was that?
I'm pissed you woke him up.
Oh yeah, totally. That's what I'm saying. That dog is ready to kill me right now because I woke his ass up. Like I had to stop the recap. I'm sorry, buddy. Sit down. It's okay. You can sit down. He's like, wait, is this a party now? What's going on? I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that with you. I can't recap, but yeah, like I'll do a different kind of recap here instead. Let's try this instead. Let's do a recap. Recap. Now let's get into this. Okay, that was a little bit better though. sorry, buddy. You can go lie down. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, poor guy. You got a better angle of the dog than the audience did, Joe, and the dog was not happy. Was not happy with me. So go lie down, buddy. It's okay. It's okay. So let's get into our recap here. There was a grizzly bear behind me. So we open up. Thank you. We open up on Abby, and oh, look at the kitty face. Look at Mustachio.
Buddy Donuts.
How's it going, good buddy? Okay, so the episode opens up on Abby. She looks upset. She's arriving at the hospital. She's in a dream. Someone says, he's dead, don't go in there. And it took me a minute, Joe. I gotta say, it took me a minute. But she's talking to herself. And she's saying, don't go into here. And she says, you're lying. You know, he's not dead. And it's just like, it's an intense moment as she's reliving the moment of going in to find her father dead. Is there anything like this dream sequence in the book? I mean, the book in the game.
Yeah, a couple times she goes through it. She's like, she wakes up and she's stumbling through the hospital to get to her dad. The alarm's going off. It's dark. There's bodies everywhere.
So this was a familiar scene.
It's a horror for it's an absolute horror. It's an absolute fucking nightmare. Like, and you get these dream sequences in the.
To your point earlier, if we had, and to something Anna was saying as well, if we had a few more episodes of moments with Abby, seeing what she's dealing with, the horror that Joel actually put her through, the terror that she's faced on an everyday basis, every night she sleeps, can't sleep, wakes up every morning and puts her body through hell to try to get to the point where she and this is what I wanted to say. I'm glad I brought this up. But what I wanted to say, and I wanted to say this at the end before we disconnected with Anna, I want to be very clear. Everything that we're saying here, and Joe may disagree, but and I'm going to say this when probably next week too when I'm talking to Tony as well. I don't think it has to be necessarily that she's built. It has to be in an attitude of that she's been weathered over 5 years.
That she has taken this as serious as she's taking out the revenge as seriously as she built. Like, right. It's gotta be heavy for her, and not just like.
And I'm gonna add just a TV wrinkle to it. If you make the choice to add the scene 5 years ago at the grave, when you see her again, there needs to be some difference in her appearance, in the way she presents herself. All we've seen is that she's exactly the same from the time that we saw, and this is what Anna was saying, and it really rings true. She seems almost exactly the same at the gravesite as the Abby that we've seen there.
And she said she was 19 at the time.
And someone in the live chat said now she seems 19 and a half. You know, like...
And like, she said she was 19 at the time, which means, like, in this world, it's not like she wouldn't have known why they were all at this hospital. Those 19, so she would have been one of those soldiers. Like, she would have. I don't feel like, sure, she saw her daddy's brains blown out all over the place, but like, the two nurses certainly would have been able to say, yeah, we were about to chop a girl's fucking head open. That's why he did it.
Yeah, look,
That's
context.
why he killed
Context
probably
is
one
king.
of their husbands or boyfriends, maybe, or some shit. But like, they're all standing at the grave, kind of like letting her vent and everything. Now, 5 years later, they've walked across the fucking country, battled whatever they had, still had ammunition left after battling whatever they had to battle to get there. So probably nothing. And what? Now we're going to convince her, now that we're staring down at Jackson, and there's a possibility maybe we go show up and be like, we're weary travelers, can you let us in, and just fucking kill them in the middle of the night because it's, wholesome little fucking town. Everybody knows where everybody fucking lives, and why the fuck not? I'm sure Joel's pissed off a lot of people in that town, like the guy who called slurs at Ellie the other night.
Yeah.
Who the fuck knows, right?
Chuck Bass's dad. Yeah. You watch
like
Gossip Girl.
Therapist who's killed, was pissed Eugene died. They needed to give us more Abby, an episode at least before this, that we just learned about Abby. Maybe that's episode 2. Maybe episode 1 is all little whiny Ellie, so that we do break our bond with Ellie a little bit, giving Joel grief, making Joel feel bad for the decisions he made more than they fucking did for certain. Maybe you put on the back burner until episode 3, the dance and the kiss and like the attraction with Dina or whatever. But like the beginning, I really feel like they had to make changes. They made changes. Sure, I get it. I agree. You're not playing a game. You're watching a television series. But like, honestly, guys, again, you're all supposed to be at the top of your game, and you do things exactly how you have always fucking done things on television. No need for it. Be the groundbreaking series your fucking game was, right? Do something a little different. You gave us that Frank episode. You set the fucking the standard that we were going to get episodes like that, right? You even did it partially with that fucking stupid woman in Pittsburgh, but you don't do it with who is supposed to be your secondary pro / antagonist. You just completely make her an antagonist to Ellie, who you did kind of set up to be that whiny,
maybe they're
break our bond with her a little bit, make us not like her just a little bit, and then you'd go and you did it wrong. You did it absolutely wrong. You blew the beginning of this season as far as television is concerned, and it definitely doesn't hold up to the way the game plays in the first episodes and for the first hours until Joel dies. Like, this is completely nowhere near as impactful at all.
Anna adds, I've not played the game, but this is just bad storytelling. Sonic says, get it off your chest, let it flow, let the hate flow. We need Joe rants are a good thing. We got Jackie C, you're amazing, the best mod out there. JJ, yeah, the mods they just keep the chat safe from all sorts of pests. Jake Z, it's irrelevant, it's a small world after all. It's a small world. Great to see you in the live motherfucking chat, my buddy. LJ, did we learn that Abby is afraid of heights or no? This is important. I didn't learn that. I didn't feel like I learned.
No, and that's another thing.
She's afraid of heights. Wait, she's afraid of heights?
This is a great point. She is afraid of heights. This is important.
I don't know that.
And you absolutely lose that by her saying, I'm looking over the edge. This particular, in the game, she falls. But again, it has to do with
does she slide like she's at at like an amusement park on a tube?
She does. She falls. She slides off an edge, but
it was awesome. That looks fun. It was like the Goonies.
And she's already like moving quick to get away from zombies, I think, at this point. So like, this is something that happens in the game, but she's like, oh, I see it's a big long fall, but I'm going to try to slide down this anyway, and completely ignores her fear of heights. Especially even just looking out over from the resort that they're in, looking out the window over the mountains would still give you that same feeling of heights. Like, even though you're standing on solid ground, when you stand on the side of a ski slope, you still kind of feel that heights. So it is important in the game for the Seattle playing of it, for the sections that take place in Seattle, and
They name dropped Seattle tonight. I assumed it was one of those don't go to Seattle. Of course, we're going to Seattle moments.
yeah, and well, the WLF, I'll spoil that for everybody. She says I've been part of a militia, and they say that they're in Seattle, right? And WLF stands for the Washington Liberation Front.
Clever. I mean,
Whoa.
let's just say, like, it's not a spoil. Like, I don't know spoilers from this point. The only spoiler I knew about The Last of Us season 2 is done. Okay, so what I'm about to say is not a spoiler, and I don't want Joe to react. I mean, Joe can react to this because it's the most obvious fucking thing in the universe. I am willing to bet the end of this is a confrontation between Ellie and Abby. I'm willing to bet that is like, or the goal of the game is to but what is interesting, I guess, is if you're dealing with a dual narrative where Abby is probably not even aware of Ellie for the most part, and Ellie's hunting her the whole time, which creates an interesting dynamic in a video game.
Well, she says it in that room right there. I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Right. And what I'm assuming is Abby just forgets about it and doesn't even fucking think about it until she sees her again. Like, it's just she's done that. She doesn't give a shit. Like, who the fuck's that? Who the fuck is that? Who the fuck are you?
I'll so
don't spoil too much, though. You know what I mean?
I'm not gonna spoil too much, but as you saw, one guy in that group was gung ho, let's beat them all up and hurt them all and all this shit, right? But
if she's
pretty
not
much everybody
stupid,
else in that group was below that level of intensity, right? There was the girl that gave the shot who was, let's not hurt them, we're only here to kill Joel. The guy that came up with the plan, which the plan ends up being, let's get the fuck out of here and go home. The plan should have been every step you guys take, you talk about going back, and this is stupid. For the last 5 years anyway, should have been that. So amongst that group, there's a bit of a sense of, we didn't kill Dina, we didn't really kill Ellie, we subdued her and she's cut one of us, and sure, he kicked her, but we let them live because we were only there to take revenge for the slaughter of those 19 people. And they kind of are like of this delusion that this is the deal they made with Dina and Ellie. And in the game, and part of it was like, you saved my life, so I'm not going to kill you, Tommy. But I'm still going to kill your brother Joel, because even though he saved my life as well.
Do you like the change with it being Dina, or do you prefer it being Tommy?
I don't see it necessarily mattering, but what I think they're going to use it for is as a vehicle to get Dina on the road with her.
Right. If it means seeing more
along in their love together.
If it means seeing more of the character of Dina, I'm okay with it because I like the actor's performance.
We were going to see her anyway, but that's what I think. I think this was just to put her in that moment there with Joel, to know that because she goes on the road with Ellie to go hunt down fucking Abby. So in order to get that to happen and for it to feel a little bit more realistic for us as an audience, rather than just this girl I kissed once, yeah, we're gonna go hunt down this band of thieves or gangsters or whatever the fuck they are, or raiders who came halfway across the fucking country to kill who I also know as the biggest monster fucking killer soldier of all time, who everybody in this place looks at like that, and whoever ever has ever met Joel, everybody in Boston thinks that of this guy, everybody in Jackson thinks that of this guy, everybody in fucking Salt Lake who's still alive thinks that
he's
that
guy.
Seattle that have heard the stories of the 19 fucking Fireflies think that of this guy, and all probably, if she was ever in Boston, told her leave this shit alone. But hey, she was successful. So, but I think in her mind, she's just, we left them alive, so they're not going to come after us. But putting Dina in that room gives her a reason to come after with Ellie. And it's not like Ellie goes back with Joel's body and Tommy, and our love is just starting, but like, bitch, let's get serious. I ain't going across the country with you, just me and you. But now she's got a little bit more stake in the game, plus her love or budding love for Ellie.
Let's just get in the chat for a bit before we get back to our recap. John Haymaker, Joel is just a man. Song boy, Joe, would you do what Abby did if something happened to your loved ones? We're gonna get that question in a second, Sonic Boy. Hold that thought for a second, Joe. Bill says, since Joel is dead, I call dibs on Kale. Joseph, yes, Jackie, lots of stuff. I just want to get to a couple more comments before. It's Mike Ehrmanchild of Half Measures. At this point, I want them to take out Abby in a gratifying way. Edward Narm, how they get there and make you feel it if she's not stupid. But to answer that question, Phil, Joe, would you do what Abby did if something happened to you? Like someone did that to Papa Bear? Yeah, of course.
Listen. If anything like that happens to my family and stuff, why wouldn't I? Like, that's my life.
Especially in that world.
Yep. And my life is now over. So if my life is over, my life is over. Everything I do from this point on doesn't matter. It just doesn't. If it's all about revenge until the moment I fucking die, then it's all about revenge until the moment I die. But that's my life. That's my wife. That's my dad. That's the man who raised me. That's my mom. That's my family.
Yep.
By choice or by blood.
We're still the family. And
exactly, like I walk across the country. Like, I'm getting old now. Like, I don't know if Joel in his 60s wants to go walking across the country for that shit either, but like,
I still think if you and me wanted to go like the Appalachian Trail, we can make that shit.
Like I'm doing it. I'm going.
I'm watching some sort of online dude that's like trying to walk from like Rhode Island to Florida, and he's giving up real quick. I'm like, Joe and I could do this shit. We could still win the Amazing Race.
Feelers out for all travelers and all this shit.
We'd kill it. Okay, so as classic our recaps, this is like an hour on the first scene. We haven't even got past the dream sequence. So we cut to the next scene of Abby walking, and it was just a dream. She's not bigger, if that matters. And to that point of there's no physical or emotional or acted affectation of any kind that dictates she's been obsessed for 5 years dealing with Joel. It seems like a minute, if not five. It could be a minute. It could be 5 years from the time the graveyard happened, and we're here. If that matters, I'm just pointing that out. So we wake up. It's just a dream. She's in a cabin with some dude. I have their names listed below. I'll get to their names in a second. And they're cold. Another dude comes in and he says, this is fucking cold too. And they all take turns in a funny scene where they all sort of complain about realizing in the light how big the place that they need to infiltrate is. Like, oh shit, it's huge. It's fucking big. Next person comes out, it's big, it's big. We get a quick backstory, exposition about how there's dogs and guards and good guards. But they're going to kidnap somebody, force them to tell them where Joel is. I mean, all this is yada yada because the most convenient thing in the universe, happens to them. So dude sends Abby out on watch duty, and he's like, I got a plan. Don't worry, Abby. I got a plan. Sends Abby off.
If I make her sit out here and freeze for this next hour, I can talk her into leaving quicker. Because she won't want to have to sit around, 5 hours a day out in this cold, waiting for our moment or plotting how we're going to do this.
Joe, before we move on, great point. Jackie C has an amendment to our previous question. Now, would you feel the same way if you found out that me or Papa Bear Larry or Big Ben or Mr. Martin, any of those folks were doing something nefarious? Like if you found out that person was trying to rip the brains out of a little girl and then they stepped in the way of their dad freeing them and then they got shot in the process, would you still feel like you wanted to seek out the revenge in Abby's way?
Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
It
Well,
wouldn't. It would. It
here's
wouldn't.
the
It
thing,
wouldn't
like,
matter at that point. The details of said revenge wouldn't necessarily matter. It would be the revenge just exists in that moment.
correct.
Okay.
The pain is there.
Yeah. Pain on my mind. I cannot stand it.
That is a very good question.
It is a good question. It's a great question.
In all actuality, no.
It would depend.
No.
It would depend.
It absolutely depends on the circumstances. Listen, am I going after Joel because he killed 19 people and my father? Like you said, he's trying to rip out the brain of this little girl. If maybe somebody tells me those details, like one of the nurses that is standing there explains to me what they were about to do, but then they have to explain that they were about to do that too. And so they're going to do a real good job to say how much it was needed.
But then we get into a weird thing, like where that Star Trek thing of like the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, and is if you could possibly find better scientists to try to work with, there is a fix with Ellie somehow, right? You know, possibly.
Right, but you don't take the life to do
No,
it.
you need to keep her alive at all costs because she's the only hope to figure out how everyone can be immune. You definitely cannot kill her.
And they were going to kill her. They were going to vivisect her brain or take chunks of her body and stuff like that. And here's the thing. Like, if my family member is hurting someone, actually hurting other people.
Great Machiavelli reference, John Haymaker, but keep going, Joe.
Like, no, I'm not going to seek out this revenge in that manner. Like, that's not the revenge. That's not revenge.
Revenge is her stabbing, as Killmonger says, stabbing Joel in the neck with the broken end of the golf club was just fucking crazy.
Like, she was hurting.
She was.
But nobody explained to her, apparently, why what happened, right?
Or better question, Jackie C. asked, do you still fight for Stannis if he burns his daughter, Shireen? No.
And that's also why I think, like, those two nurses that were in there, you don't ask them why any of this happened. You don't really, like, why is there 19 guards? Why is all this happening? Why was my father killed? Why did he leave you two alive? Like, and like I said, I've played that game. Those nurses didn't live.
Yep. No, no one lived. It's like playing Night Zero Republic. You're murdering everyone. We got over 40 people watching us right now.
You're gonna let the nurses sit there and live when they could just walk out the hall and pick up one of the guns that's sitting out in the front of the hall and shoot them.
That's what you got to do in this situation. So everyone, if you're in there right now, any of the 40 folks watching us right now, hit that like button, hit the share button, share this out somewhere, wherever the fuck you can. And obviously not in the schoolyard when I'm saying wherever the fuck, but share it somewhere appropriate and help us reach even more folks. Let's talk about this episode as we're continuing into our fucking recap here. And he risked the biscuit to save her life. So dude says, I have a beginning of a plan, but get the hell out of there in sniper duty. So Abby goes off in the snow. We're back with our fire babies, Muppet babies. You don't have a plan. I do have a plan. It's convince her to get the fuck out of here. So we finally go off to Ellie, who's sleeping, and knocking at her door is her boss guy. What's this guy's name? Jesse? Is his name Jesse? Is that it? Whatever. Her boss man, the dude's knocking on the door. He's like,
oh yeah.
He's like, what about last night? What's going on? And I like how he kind of fucked with her. He's like, oh my God, you made out with my ex-girlfriend? Yo.
That's all right out of the game too.
Very well written, very fun stuff. And I can tell. I'm not going to say I can tell it's from the game because the dialogue feels very fun and fresh.
Right, they got the dialogue done. They did a great job with the dialogue.
And when they and I don't know if they're word for word the game, but I almost feel like I can tell because it doesn't feel like normal television dialogue, and you're like, oh, this is interesting and a little bit different. Quick live chat as we go. If my dad was trying to save the world from sacrifice, says Red Lipstick Club, and sacrifice of one, I would be good, but he killed. Oh, sorry. If my dad was trying to save the world for the sacrifice of one, I would be good, but if he killed not just her dad, but one of the other surgeons, however, I'm not brought in on Abby to justify her brutality. Ian says, yeah, the Muppet Babies. They're totally the Muppet Babies. Killmonger says, I'm not as mad about this as I was in the game, but I'm more team Abby for the show, says Killmonger. Dragon says, and more likely would have been cured if anyone. Sorry, I'm too... So I bleeped your...
I'm more team Abby for the show, too, only because I played the game. So I know the Abby story, and I know how things.
So you're transferring it on. You're adding a lot of extra. That's what I'm saying, Joe. I feel like some of this is watching, and this is. I'm not upset at this, but do you feel like this show was made for you, not me? It was made for people that have watched the game to expand the story more than new people.
It is, because I'm already connected with Abby.
Right? Yeah, and I don't give a shit. I want to see her die miserably. I'm with Anna. I want to see this person that fucked Ellie's dad up, murder her.
Correct.
Television.
They didn't do anything to put us on her side as the TV audience. But as a game player, I have knowledge of all the events that take place in the future as well. And I know the characters' depth and growth. And
as Anna just said, this show doesn't support Team Abby. It doesn't. Not so far.
It hasn't, and anything that they do now loses effect, right? Like by killing Joel at the end of this episode and making your audience wait a week to have an episode about mourning, or maybe even longer, depending on what your next episode is, right? To have that week in between, it's almost like we've already done it as an audience. We have already mourned Joel. Yes, there's something to be said about watching our characters get through the grieving and how they handle it and what they do to survive themselves through losing Joel. But here's the thing. We just did that as the audience. We've already got the narrative of how we think these characters might behave after losing this other character, Joel, right? So I think it's bad writing to kill a main character like this at the end of an episode and then come back with the morning episode. It draws it out then 2 weeks, because then you're waiting another week to get on to the story. We know this morning. We're mourned. We're done. We lost him. We had 6 days to think about how this man died, why this man died, the nuances of who killed who first and why and how and all this bullshit and infernal whatever. Yeah. So where's the next episode's emotional pull-in?
Yeah, right? It doesn't exist as much. It just really doesn't. And okay, so we go off to Ellie sleeping and the door's knocking and it's her boss dude, blah, blah, blah. Dude's like, probes about last night. He fucks with her. And dude's like, I don't care. I'm just fucking with you. And says, but it is kind of fucked up that you made out with my ex-girlfriend. And yeah, it's a cool little situation. So we get some back exposition about some found infected, lots of infected under the snow, 30 or 1,000. It's really just kind of, to go to your point of what ends up coming later, is this stuff, do we hear, is all of this this feels like just made up for the show stuff. So we get some.
So they did not do this with the winter like so much. There's an aspect of what they said here in the show is they piled up on top of each other to stay warm. And then that explains the rapid growth of the underground, tendrils down these pipes or whatever, possibly. So that kind of ties into how they changed it in that aspect, but there's still the whole zombie attack on Jackson thing, I think, is in the first game, there is a raider attack on Jackson.
Okay, so there is something similar.
Remove from the series, right? We don't see that. We don't get to see them work together in a crisis or anything in season 1, which we get in the first game. So this is also, I think, for the game players
Yeah.
to get action at Jackson. But again, that action doesn't happen it happens in either the fall or the spring, I forget, and it's by raiders and not, infected.
Right. It's a different sort of thing. Nonfiction says they shouldn't have killed Joel before making us care about Abby at all, because that's how you lose viewers. Once they're gone, they ain't coming back. Red List, she was supposed to. I almost feel like Abby would have been a better Ellie. But okay, so we go off to Ellie sleeping, blah blah blah. We get some exposition about the 30 to 1,000. Certainly, mass. What is it? Your wise ass is masked as knowledge, or certainty is masked as knowledge. That sounds like a line from the game, right? Is that? That's definitely a line from the game. Right? Suck my dick, she says. But I'm doing duty with Joel, and I'm assuming you hinted at this earlier when Anna was on the phone. I'm assuming that we're gonna get more flashbacks with Joel. There's one specific that we didn't get yet so far that I know has to come. Tony mentioned it earlier, and I know it. It's one of the most famous things from the game, even though I've never played the game. I know he teaches her guitar, like some stuff on guitar, right?
A whole guitar. So you see that she has a guitar,
but we haven't seen him teach her. Isn't that a big moment?
Right.
In the fucking
so they're gonna have that, right? But there's also when she comes home from the party that night. The dance after kissing Dina.
They make up a little bit, right? Or something?
She joins him on the porch. And when she wakes up in the morning, she's like, no, I'm going out on patrol with Joel. And
right, that's honestly seemed to come out of nowhere.
To make up with him, or we already made up last night, even though we see her walk right by. I think one of the flashback scenes that we're gonna get is because that's one of the a very touching scene in the game.
So you think we're going to get a flashback scene of them bonding at some point in the season?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's needed. It's really needed. I feel like because it feels like there's a missing moment between what we saw at the end of the last episode, and it might be intentional. It's obviously intentional, but it feels missing, where she's just sort of like, I'm going to go with Joel. With Joel, and we've been bad. It doesn't matter. Like, we're gonna have some shit, but we're still gonna be together. No matter what, we're always gonna be fucking together. We're gonna hash this shit out. Daddy-daughter day, motherfucker. And but he went off with Dina. He wanted to go with you, but he wanted to let you sleep. That's basically all that happens there. Killmonger says Ellie walked past and then came back and talked to him that night. The whole battle for Winterfell part is only for TV, says Killmonger.
Yep.
What was that monster called in that moment? But yeah, that was a, I believe Joe will confirm that when he gets back, but I believe that was or when we get to that scene, that was a bloater. So
it was more like the fall of Israel in World War Z.
Yeah, a little bit, and a little hard homey too. So we get in with we get Tommy giving a speech about food, giving a speech to everyone about what can happen. What to do if
you know what would happen? You know what would happen? Tommy, you'd fucking die when you ran into the middle of the mall. They're not running past you, Tommy. They're not ignoring you, Tommy, to keep going and keep running so you can show down with the big bloater.
Tommy wants to show down.
The first 10 that you
Tommy had some awesome fucking main character shield shit going on there. People were just ignoring.
Stupidest fucking
people were ignoring Tommy left and right. Someone said that earlier in the chat. I'm sorry I'm not giving you credit, but you did. I saw it, but it was like Tommy had some serious main character shields.
Yeah, stupid moment.
He had some stupid moments. They were just ignoring him. He was like running around, only that bloater cared about him. Like it was a one-on-one battle between him and that dude.
Was fucking dumb too. Like I feel like everybody needed to be addressed if you were this worried, having everybody take these sudden precautions.
Oh, it was Jake in the live chat that said that earlier. Yeah, the worst part was Tommy's plot armor. It really
that was really just bad.
It was. It was unnecessarily bad. And that's what I'm saying. I said that at the beginning too, and I know you said it was similar to the game, but the whole thing with the bloater right before he died, like it was very that whole thing.
No,
Everything with Tommy was plot armor. Everything with Tommy
isn't necessarily like it's similar to the game, but like
no, I get that. I get that.
Bloaters, they are very hard to kill. So like very often you're about to fucking die when you kill like the one or two or
and that's obviously what they were going for. Did you feel like that? And I feel like they achieved that. They did that. Okay.
They did, because you kind of think like, what's it going to take? And listen, what I thought was going to happen, this was a lot better than what I thought was going to happen. What I thought was going to happen was, here comes my wife to shoot it again in the head and drop it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean,
it saved me at the last minute. And that would have been great if it wasn't like
now, Joe,
just as tropey as this.
I'm sitting here with
what do you do?
I'm sitting here with multiple dogs. There's a little Lotus on the couch, and there's a big giant dire wolf that I've cloned over there too. And we'll talk about it when the scene comes to. But the dog scene was was pretty cheesy too. Like the release of that.
I am so not down with that.
That was an awful scene. That was an awful scene. It was awful.
Train your dogs to make noise and stuff like that. But like, so what was?
So they just sacrificed the dogs to kill like one or two of them, like to kill a handful. You know what I mean?
What are you looking at? You're looking at a kennel full of dogs that are just in their kennel. How long are they in their kennel for? These are ravaged. Like, I don't know. I'm not down with.
I thought way too much about the dog thing. I got way too much into it
too, dude.
I got way too down the dog rabbit hole, Joe. I did.
Listen, you have a dog. You have Lucy, right? And Lucy loves you to death. And even my cat went back for Katie the other night when the coyote was outside. Like, we had to go outside and get Hal indoors because the coyote was howling.
Coyotes cats think they can take coyotes. They definitely think they can beat them.
Right. And so like Katie was lagging behind because the front goes till we let our cat in through a different door, right? So when I went to go open the other door to let the cat in, he stopped and went back, like he was really freaked out, and went back to make sure Katie was still coming. Like, be damned, coyote, whatever that was out there. He wasn't going in until he knew we were all going in. And so you got Lucy, and Lucy ain't taking that shit. Lucy will
you mean Lotus or the?
Lotus. I'm sorry, I don't know why.
One of the dogs I take care of is Lucy.
So you got Lotus with you, right? And like, Lotus is not going to let anything bad happen to you. Lotus is the nicest dog in the fucking world, but be damned, I know what she does to small creatures in the backyard.
Yeah.
Right? And so I know what she would do to someone that was trying to hurt you, Phil.
Yeah, she kills woodchucks that try to eat her mummy's spinach.
Vegetables, right? Like, she is one tight packed ball of muscle that would fight for her till her death to save you. That is different than having a pack of dogs that you are dooming to death by sending them out to fight these things.
Now, Joe,
you don't do that.
I am so fucking with you, but I do want to add one thing that Mame asked in the live chat, and people answered them, but I do want to answer it on the live stream too. Can animals be turned? No, right? It's only humans?
I don't believe we had seen it at all in the games. And they kind of go over this a little bit in season 1, and they talk about the cordyceps virus in that it's somehow jumped from and changed or whatever, but like there's some mutation about it. So you want to say no, but mutations happen, and things. What's the famous line from My Ass Kiss Park, right? Like, life will find a fucking way, dude.
Yep. It's true. It's true. And someone said, yeah, if cats were 3 feet tall, they would be running the world. And if orcas could walk on land, we'd be fucked. Orcas would
do. They're called elephants and rhinos, dude.
Or hippos fuck up rhinos, dude.
Yeah, dude. Like, animals.
Elephants fuck up everybody, but
there's the most prolific hunter of all the felines talk about ruling the world, animals that would do it if they had the means, it would be feline.
Yep,
that's what I think.
Yep. Oh, definitely. Like all at top form. Yeah. But we'll get into that a little bit later. But I'm trying to remember what your question was, because we have a guarantee. Like did the ending of the episode surprise you, or did you see it coming? 88% people said they saw this coming. So
everybody knew it was coming, which is why you didn't need to do it now. Which is why you didn't need to pack the first two episodes of Joel and Bella. I get it. It comes.
You didn't even get enough. You didn't even get enough of them. I feel like you need more. Razor says the show is cooked. Godspeed to the fan base. It's gonna go really weird. I love hippos too. Nonfiction. They're the craziest animal. My one of my half sisters is a big animal vet, and she's worked with lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, and elephants and rhinos and all sorts of animals that she's worked with them. She said the only animals she was ever scared of were the fucking hippos.
Yeah, hippos are ornery.
She's like, all the other animals were almost like thankful. The hippos were like Argo. Yeah, not like aggressive, like the Zergin you and shit like that. Like they would just go crazy like out of nowhere and be like, fuck you. Like, whereas all the other big animals tend to be very thankful for the care. The hippos were not. The hippos were not. They were not thankful for anything. They were dangerous and scary.
You just don't treat dogs like that. I'm not down with that. I would probably, that would be like yeah, sure, Jackson is a nice place, but like I'm not down with the way you got your dogs treated. I'm gonna go move up into the resort at the top of the mountain.
So yeah, we'll get into the dogs more, but the dog thing was weird. So Ellie asks if it's anyway. So Seth is where am I? Okay, so the dude says they head out into the woods, into the wilderness, whatever. We cut to Abby on lookout in the cold. Nothing, but she hears something. She looks, and there's two folks heading down, and it is Dina.
But everybody's still shooting off the roofs down into that street. They're not going to hit the fucking dogs too? Come on.
I mean, we'll get even more into that later, Joe, but that whole scene, the more we talk about the attack on the town, it's pissing me off.
It's gonna seem like a horrible fucking.
The more it's pissing me off, Joe. You're right. And why'd she let those dogs? And that's what I'm saying. She let those dogs out for to kill like what? Like each dog took out maybe one or two before they all surrounded them. One or two.
And that's what would have happened. But then we see that the dogs are fine and they're helping.
Sure they are. So are the Dothraki in the Long Night. When they send the Dothraki out at the beginning of that, and they all just disappear, and then suddenly they're back.
These creatures don't die without the head wound, right? So, and even though the dog has tackled you, it still has that rip you apart. It doesn't care what you're doing to it. It's going to bite and mangle the dog as well. Not fight to get away from the dog, but it's going to just kill the fucking dog as well. It doesn't feel the dog bites, so it's not going to be like, ow. It's not scared of the dog, so it's not going to run from the dog. The using of the dog is pointless. That gets your dog hurt and injured, and that's it. It's not like, maybe like you said, it tackles one of them,
right?
But then the next three decide, oh, that's the closest.
And that's my thing. And I know, to be fair, as some people have said in the chat, the concept when you're in this kind of world, you gotta prioritize human life. I understand that, but my point is, even by letting out the dogs, all you're doing is letting them take out like 2 or 3 or 4. It's like, don't even waste.
Maybe not even that.
Don't even waste the time. Your time is spent better not even worrying about letting the dogs out in that situation.
It's keeping the dogs safe, because dogs can actually be used in many more useful ways.
I'm also very, very biased. So that's.
I am too. As an animal lover, I am too. But I feel like I don't even want to watch this episode with Katie, because it's just an awful thing to see.
Right? No, yeah, Katie's not gonna like that at all. Katie Crow is going to be squawking about that one for sure. So we cut over to
Joel. Who cares about Joel? Like, this town just killed 20 dogs.
Yeah, as Red Lipstick Club says, this
had to have died in that.
This apocalypse don't give a damn about the dogs. The reality of the situation, the weapons of destruction. Who let the dogs out? Sonic, your boy. You let those fucking dogs out, didn't you? So we cut back to town, and they're trying to get it safe and set up. Tommy's getting a message. Look again, everyone's coming back. A storm's coming in. A storm conveniently comes in at the same time. Literally, this is the point in the episode where I'm like, are the White Walkers about to come in? Like the storm's coming in, like the White Walkers. Are they connected? Which honestly, I don't want to break this apart too much, but if it seemed like my head might break here, Joe, so tell me if I'm completely off base and stupid in live chat and people watching this later. I'm starting to get a little buzzed, so I might just be stupid here, what I'm about to say. But we see that a storm is rolling in, correct? Like everything is getting colder.
It's going to stay in the mountains.
What was that?
Weatherman on Channel 4 said so.
Yeah, but it seems like, do you know what I mean? It seems like there's like a cold thing coming in, like a cold thing. So wouldn't that
I thought it looked horrible too. I thought it was horrible CGI.
Right, but my point is
Was
that
it? Am I wrong?
we're going to get to that part. It did look kind of weird. But my point is, it's getting colder. Wouldn't that not cause the zombies, cause the infected to break out? Like it seemed like the way that the infected broke out, that they didn't break out because of eventually reaching a force point that things were melting, but it also seemed like it was getting colder. There seemed to be some sort of contrast there with wouldn't so the infected were frozen this whole time, and then it got colder and they broke out. Wouldn't
it got colder, and not only that, but like
the storm came and then they broke out?
We're supposed to see that it's not that isn't the reason why they broke out.
It seemed like that was the reason they broke out.
The cold is the reason they stopped their migration, I guess.
So
right?
wouldn't that keep them frozen underground for longer?
Necessarily. So you're migrating and there's nothing going on, right?
Yes.
And it's getting colder and colder, and I guess this thing decides.
I can hear you. I have to run, but I can hear you. No, I'm just running. I can hear you.
Yeah. It piles all the bodies on top of each other, but then it grew the tentacles down to the pipe, and that fucker was breaking the pipe and ripped out a bunch of the lines that had the tentacles on it. So that, I think, is in part and parcel what was waking them up. Also, what woke them up was fucking Abby falling on top of. So that's what woke up the group that attacked the town, but the group that like came after Abby as the ones that she actually fell onto, waking them up. So that's why they suddenly in the middle of the winter just jumped up, but they were piled to stay warm for just this moment to 1,000 of them jump out of the ice to go chase one fucking girl that walked on them.
Oh my fucking god, I gotta talk about that scene. I was waiting until we get there, but I have to talk about that shit. Was that in the game? Because that was the most ridiculous shit I've seen in my life. Like, all of them are chasing after her. Like, was that was in the game, was it?
Like, when she goes off on a walk with her lead guy in the group there, the one that has the plan man, and he brings her to a vantage point that you can see Jackson from.
Oh, I'm sorry. I turned you up too much. The audio is probably glitching for a little bit there because I was listening. I didn't realize that would turn you up too much in the audience. So sorry, everybody, for Joe to be way too loud for a second there.
Yeah, usually. So when he takes her to that vantage point, that's when they see Jackson, and that's when he's like, we can't do this. This is not, we're going to all fucking die here if we try to do this. We need to go back, think about your friends, think about this. Let's regroup. And they get into a little bit of a fight, but there's also like a tender moment where we see that they kind of like each other a lot, or used to, or something. But they get into an argument and he storms off and she gets lost and ends up slipping into an area that has a few zombies around, frozen like. And as she's battling those, you come into contact and running from them, as you are, you come into contact with more and more until there's too many, but it's not quite a horde like we see
Like running after, like a whole horde running after one person. Do we see that? Something like that?
No.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. I'm not asking like does she get overwhelmed a couple times by awful situations. I'm talking about like a giant horde chasing after one person in a comedic way. But
and I'm sorry, they would have caught her so fucking quick. These things are fast.
Happy
These things
420,
are fast.
everybody.
There's no doors to run behind. There's nothing to slow them down with. She lost her rifle. She lost her sidearm. And if she had stopped to shoot any of them, the others all around would have gained on her.
We're gonna get to that in a second here, but everybody, we got 8 minutes left to that 420, but I consider it all week. If you do celebrate, make sure you're celebrating in these next 8 minutes here in the East Coast. But wherever you are, I know not everyone's in the same time zone. So Tommy gets a message and it's looking like bad. There's a storm coming in. Music gets more intense. We get to Jesse, yes, that's his name, in Ellie, and they're told to come back, but they're too far out, and they're going to stay at a spot, and they leave the horses, and they head to a 7-Eleven that's full of weed, Joe. Speaking of 420.
I'm sorry, Phil. I got to get back to this storm coming in. It looked like someone took their fucking stylus out from their Microsoft Surface tab or their whatever and just threw the color like a blob of color gray on the screen.
No, go, Joe. So you
fucking edit CGI job. It was fucking horrible. The most horrible looking storm in the distance I have ever fucking seen.
There was a storm in the distance. It looked bad. The White Walkers were coming in, Joe. Come on.
The storm looked really bad. It was like WB style storm or some shit. Like.
Thank you. Red Up says it's only 9 in the West Coast. You got 3 more hours for this.
Better storms on fucking Looney Tunes.
So you're saying it was a little Bugs Bunny for your taste right there.
It looked bad, like that CGI of like when they were like, oh, there's a storm coming in, but don't worry, it'll stay in the mountains, and they kind of show the dark cloud in the mountains. Like it really looked, to my eye, maybe that's how. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe they were actually standing there and there isn't any CGI whatsoever. Well, then, God, you did a bad job with that cloud.
So we get with this. We hear a little bit. Bad cloud aside, we'll get back to more bad clouds. Speaking of a bad cloud of weed, we get Eugene was a firefly, but he quit. Sad story about Joel putting Eugene down. I'm sure we might get more of that later. But there's a lot of weed around. Do you think is there any intentional?
That's all being hung too. A lot of that was being hung and just hadn't been fucking trimmed off.
Yeah. Who's curing that shit? So my two questions for you. One, I assume the weed thing is in the game.
Yep. But it's Dina there, and they have a nice tender night smoking,
and that's how Ellie has weed through the whole game.
No, we don't really smoke through the whole game. I think maybe we smoke one more time or some shit. But it's not. It's more of like this is something people do.
Right. No, fair. I don't know how much you watch From, but even in From, there's a weed grower too. Like it's just it's one of those things. Like if I would do it, one of us, or I can't speak for yourself because I know you don't necessarily do such things, but myself, if I was in that universe, I would be growing weed because I would have to smoke weed and I couldn't help myself. I can't speak for Joe, but I'll speak for my fucking self. I would fucking be doing that shit. Mushrooms too, probably. I'm not fucking denying that shit. I'd be all up in that natural crap. Phil, would I use that mask bong? I would, but I must admit it has been.
I have used that mask bong.
I have used bongs like that before, for both nitrous oxide and marijuana, but I don't often at this point in my life use water filtration or any filtration pipe device. I'm so used to joints or blunts when I do smoke that I think if I used a bong at this point, it would fuck me up big time. That being said, I wouldn't mind if I owned one. I just don't own that.
I'll give you one. I got 3 glass bongs sitting on a
Yeah,
shelf
give
with
me
5
one.
slides for it. I got 3 spoon pipes, and I got a
Yeah.
steamroller with the dragon in it.
Leave
I got
me a
smoke
bong when you
stones.
come by. Leave me a bong when you come by on Thursday if you remember it. Who gives a shit? Let's do that shit.
Oh, so much. I used to collect it. I used to really like it back
Yeah.
in the 90s when I
And
first found out about hand-blown glass.
quick side note of that. Yes, he did, but he had like a cabinet where he had them all, but he never used them. He had like a whole cabinet filled with all these amazing, like every
It was the
device.
China Hutch. I filled the China Hutch with it.
Yeah, but you never would use them. You'd just roll a joint or smoke a blunt. Like you'd be like, oh, like I'm not.
I liked the craft work.
Okay, so you liked visually. You liked like they were knickknacks. Like I got my fucking Disney things over to the left there. I get it.
And then at the end, by the time like the 2000s, early 2000s came along, they were on every corner.
As for the edible thing, I actually have some gummies in the other room that I was thinking about taking tonight. Joe, gummies don't work, or edibles don't work on Joe.
Nope.
That I do have some streams to.
And if you don't believe me, I'll be glad to sit and do a live stream with Phil for 6 hours if you provide the 200 milligrams.
No, that would take Joe to feel a little something. Yeah, to feel. Joe's like, I feel it. Okay.
I will eat all 200 milligrams in front of you.
So to continue back into this, Abby gets closer to the two folks. But she reaches a touchy spot. She calms down the snow, but she falls and she sleds down on her belly and lands face first. When it makes it down, and looks around, and there's all these dead around her, or all these infected around her. And but one of them's kind of moving in the ice, and all of a sudden they start actively moving. She kind of wakes them all up. Again, I ask you, is this something in the game? It doesn't feel like it.
No, it's not. They don't. Like I said, this was because the guy broke the pipe.
This is a good game, by the way, that we're playing right here. I want to say certain scenes and be like, this doesn't feel like the game, is it? This does not feel like the game, is it?
Correct. It is not in the game.
It
fucking
the guy
feels
broke the
like
pipe
it is, and because Abby walked on a pile of them.
Why don't they just do the game? Because everything that they're making up is generally stupid. So because this doesn't work. So she's climbing down the ice, she's sliding, and suddenly this
works later in the season when Ellie's getting back, or somewhere later in the season when it's spring.
That being said, Joe and I I'll give my score right now. I give this episode a 7 out of 10. This was a 7 out of 10 kind of episode. I don't think it was much more than that. I don't think it was the last episode I gave a 5.5 or a 6, just for reference. This episode I give a 7.5. 7.5.
I think I gave the last one a 7. I'm giving this one a 7. This is average.
This is slightly better. It's better.
Reevaluate, because 7 is slightly higher than average, right?
Yeah.
Average would be 5.
5 is average. 5 is average. 5 is average.
Yep. So these are 6s.
I think this is 7. I think last week was a 6.
They're not horrible, but I'll tell you what, they're both 6s as individual episodes of TV go.
And 6 is a pretty good score. Don't take a 6 as a bad score. I think 5 is average. Anything below 5 is shitty. I think 6, 7 is okay. I think last week was a 6. This is a 7.
Talk to me and put Phil. I will give them 5s.
You fucking asshole. You're an asshole. You're a miserable asshole sometimes, Joe.
As a season as a whole, I give it even less than the individual episodes.
Well, we got some 8 out of 10s. Sonic, your boy is.
But it's getting it from me.
Sonic.
The season so far is a 4, and the episodes.
Wait. How can both episodes be 6s for you in the seasons of 4? Wait, we'll get back to this later. Wait. Let's get through this episode.
I'm happy to answer that, and because you'll see it makes sense.
Okay, we'll see.
I'm sure.
It doesn't make sense. It mathematically does not make sense.
I'm pretty sure Anna agrees with me.
That's a long stretch. Anna gives us a 6.5.
Long stretch. But here's the thing: each individual episode is okay and entertaining and hits certain points. However, as a whole,
you're gonna feel horribly unsatisfied.
There's a lot of things that are lacking, that they're not doing right, that I feel are going to make it. I don't have as good of a feeling as putting them both together. So.
Fair. Joe has his fuzzy math. So, okay, so this is dead around her. Speaking of fuzzy math, we got 1,000 against 1. We almost have like it's almost Star Warsy in here moment where Abby is being chased by 1,000 infected, and she climbs a ladder, and her legs grab, she kicks his ass off, and she runs and she runs and she runs, and she's surrounded in the fence. And there's this wait, Joe. There's this cool, perfect path for her to climb in the fence where none of them break through till the absolute end, and then one just kind of grabs her leg and she tiptoes through. Sorry.
And this is an absolute great part to highlight why Abby needed to be maybe bigger than she was, because I'm sorry, doing a pull-up is one thing, but doing a pull-up when someone is pulling on you is something completely different. Now, when someone is pulling on you and you're trying to do a pull-up, hop a fence, a tall fence or something like that, there's things you can do. You can kick that person in the face and get over the fence, right?
I've done it.
However, when it's a zombie that doesn't care about getting kicked in the fence,
is bloodlusted. Yeah, it's fucking bloodlusted.
Wanted to eat your ass. You need to be strong.
Strong like bull.
Unbelievable.
Strong like bull. You need to be strong like bull, Joe.
Yes. And she was in the game. And so if you had to do something like this, completely believable.
Yeah. Okay, so she runs a clean path, and then she's behind the fence, and it's like perfect. But it's clean path. Finally, she gets behind. One gets behind her, but she's tackled. She's about to go. It's about to be dead. But right there in the moment, Joel saves her. Is that how it happens in the game? Does Joel save her at the last minute?
Yep. And then there's action, not just running. You get to see Joel be they get into that room and they surround that building a bit. But because they used as many as they did to chase after Abby, like, it would have drawn out even that far more. But there's a big sequence here until they get to, and they should have done this instead of the hard home shit. They should have done all of this action of showing Joel do much more than just pull her out, kill one zombie, throw her on the back of a horse, and ride to safety. No, they could have made it really harrowing. Really harrowing. Given even her, she gets in the game. She gets weapon. You get weapon. You have weapon. You still don't kill him.
Absolutely. People asking the time. Okay, so a quick story, I guess. Side story break. I was playing basketball against this kid, Kuba-Doo-Ba-Doo-Doo, whatever his name was. He was kicking my ass, destroying me, blocking every shot. Joe was like, Phil, hurry up, beat the game. And there was money on the line, and I ended up drop kicking him to the gut, slamming the ball in his head, taking it and running in Joe's car, and we went to a movie.
We actually walked across the park.
Oh, I thought you. In my memory, I jumped in your car. Oh, friend,
you walked across the park, and that kid just stood there.
Yeah, he stood there.
He took your whole flying kick.
He took my flying kick.
Ball,
yep.
And just stood there.
He did.
And looked at you like, what did I do?
I beat him in basketball, Joe. That's what I did. The scoreboard might not have said that, but I beat that. I won that game.
I think you lost that game and a little bit more. You lost a lot of things.
I lost a lot of things that day, Joe. Joe, I lost a lot of things that day. Let's be honest. And I lost a lot of things today too. So, but that was not one of my good moments as a child.
Finer moments.
It was not my finer moments. But that kid, in fairness, he was blocking all my shots. It wasn't fair.
To be fair though, that's not a hard thing to do.
Oh, fuck you. Fuck you. I'd kill you right now. I'd kill you right now.
To this day, you still can't beat me.
I would totally kill you right now.
Nope.
You could not beat me right now.
Nope, not even close. I haven't shot a basketball in, God, almost 10 years.
I haven't shot a basketball in 5 years, and I'm confident I would beat you right now.
Nope.
You couldn't catch me.
We're not running back. We're not running cross court, Phil. You can't shoot past me. I taught you everything about your shot.
Yeah, but you're not. We'll talk.
Have you learned how to dribble yet?
We'll talk about. Shut the fuck up. We'll talk about this later. So we'll do this live on the air.
What are you going to do to stop my floater? What are you going to do to stop my Pritchard 3?
No, you're watching. Good to get. Oh, I'm glad you're watching. Okay,
Dude,
so
Pritchard, I told you at the end of last season. What did I say? What did I say about him?
I'm glad you told me to only give you.
I said it made me pissed because that could have been me.
Let's move on because not everyone's a basketball fan. Careful, Joe. Phil's gonna beat me with basketballs. Basketball. But Joe will beat me in basketball. So, blah blah blah. Dina's there, and she's like, "Where the fuck did you come from?" She's like, she's the only one asking questions in this situation. Dina's like, "If we stay here, we're fucked. If we leave, we're fucked." Abby quickly jumped on. You gotta give Abby credit in this situation for jumping on the opportunity. Again, I don't know if it's similar. It did feel like it might be similar. I like playing this game. It feels like this was similar.
Yep.
She's like, wait, no, we can go to my cabin. There's totally.
She leaves Tommy and Joel right back there,
Yep.
and it plays out exactly the same. This
Joe,
is Tommy, and this is Joel.
Joe, isn't this funny that I honestly, besides the fact that Joel died, I know nothing about the second game, but every single time so far, I've been right when I say it's the game versus just the show made up thing, and I don't know. I'm guessing, and I've been, as far as I can see, I've been 100% correctly.
Yep. And even when Ellie getting there to witness it all happens.
Yeah. Exactly, nonfiction. It didn't stream. It didn't happen. So Tommy's on the radio, is checking in every second. What's her name? Lisa, or whatever that person's name was, could not get a hold of Joel, and he's like, check every 10 goddamn seconds. So we go to Ellie and Jesse. They're checking out bongs and weed. She's taking a lot of weed, and they overhear on the radio that Joel and Dina are in trouble, and Jesse and Ellie are like, fuck this. We're on the mission to go help out. I assume this all's in the game as well. As we get back to the town, people are, none of this is in the game. They're cleaning up pipes and oh my God, we found spores and living stuff. Holy shit. And Ellie and Jesse split up. Joel and Dina and Abby are running away, and they're getting closer and closer to the cabin. We get more infected showing up, but they're diverted elsewhere as the ones are following Joel and all them. They're diverted to a different situation because if people don't remember, Joe can kind of go a little further on this, and Tony was talking about this a bit earlier too. I don't know this, but I'm learning about this now. So when we see the spores, molds, and fungus, every time I hear this, I think about the Ghostbusters. But when we see the spores, molds, and fungus, if they wake up in the town, the little things that poke up out of the pipes, all the infected are all like a collective Borg mindset, and they know that the people are there, and they're all rushing to there immediately, right? Is that correct?
It's basically this, Phil. If you get touched on the shoulder, you know you were touched on the shoulder.
Yep.
Not on the hip. So, when you touch this fungus underground stretches for miles and miles and miles, which funguses do here and now anyway, in real life, like aspen trees and shit. They can be connected for miles and miles. It's the same tree. It's the same bunch of trees. A forest is one fucking tree, just many stems. So, this fungus is just one fungus. All these people are just different parts of the same fungus, or can communicate through spores, but in this case,
molds
tendrils can communicate or whatever. So when you step on it, it sends all of it there because you heard it.
Yeah, so it's like if you're feeling a bug crawl on part of your skin, and you're like, oh my God, I feel it, and you're going, quick here, and then everything's rushing to that particular spot.
Right. You don't smack your face when you feel it on your shoulder.
No. So we see more and more infected show up as they're diverted elsewhere, as they're all connecting to the spore pipeline thing, as Mario and Luigi are going, it's Mario time. So the bell starts ringing as they're all running towards town, and it's on like that new 3D Donkey Kong game. And we flash over to the town preparing for all the infected, but the infected are running at full speed, Joe. and there's 30 minutes to go in this episode, and the action's about to kick in. There's always the lead up to the crazy action. Are you excited? No, Joe walked away. He's not even excited. But yeah, he's excited. He's gonna run away for a second. Joe will be right back.
I gotta grab something. I'll be back in a minute.
No, take your time. As the infected come in, let's take some of this chat while we're waiting for Joe to come back. Mario would be chasing the mushrooms. Mario would be great in this particular situation. Kind of a hive mind, like the Borg. Thank you, nonfiction. Let's get back in this chat. Why is this not working? Now it's working. Thank you. If it's not streamed, it's not happening. I agree. The battle has to happen. So we're flashing back to the town, preparing for all the infected. The infected come in. The walls are holding for now, but there's more and more coming in. They're shooting him. They're throwing gas cans down and shooting the gas with fire. To Joe's point, they should have just made a moat of fire. That would have been a lot better. Seems like a good plan, but it's working. But they never expected this. Seems like a good plan. It's working so far, but there's so many. There's just overwhelming numbers. We cut to Dina and Joel and Abby, and they can see the city. And Joel is like, I got to go back. I got to go save these, jump in the fight. And this was kind of this was the moment that was a bit too far in the episode from the standpoint of Joel's spider sense should have tingled, because Joel's like, I got to go back. I got to do this thing. And the way Abby interrupted was like, oh, no. No, we got to come back to the cabin. I mean, we got blankets.
Get my friends, they'll help fight.
Yeah. And the way she interrupted was a bit too obvious. But he was like, oh, that sounds great. Do they have guns? Sure. That's awesome. We'll go with it.
I agree. She wasn't very convincing to me. Like, it was it was weird. It felt weird. It makes no sense. They were running for one reason: to get away from the zombies.
Yep.
That were hot on the horses' heels. That were running as fast as the horses that were running.
Joe, say that again. As fast as the fucking horses.
But not as fast as fucking Abby.
No, Abby was like Princess Leia chasing after, like in the Anakin series, like baby Leia, running away from Flea and the rest of the people. Like, she was just one step ahead.
She was able to outrun them all the way until she got to that structure and got herself locked behind the fence and stuff, right? But they were hot on the heels of the horse, and then suddenly they're not, and they stop, and they overlook Jackson, and they have this moment of a conversation. If the zombies were still that hot on their heels, there was no time to stop and have this conversation. But since those zombies still aren't hot on their heels, and it's only a minute more up the hill, I'm going back to my own town, sweetheart. You can either come with me, or you can get off the fucking horse and go up to see your friends. You're safe now, because obviously the zombies aren't chasing us anymore. Because I don't see the pack right behind me where it was a second ago.
Sonic, your boy, I didn't hate the Anakin series the Obi-Wan series as much as some people, but that baby Leia running around scene was the craziest, silliest shit I've seen in a long, long fucking time. Ellie is Olympic gold, Abby is an Olympic gold medals at track. As we see what's happening outside, they get a breach. We've talked a lot about this, but let's get into this a little bit. There's a breach in the gate as a bloater is coming. Tommy anticipates it as he sees the bloater coming. Tommy is...
No, the bloater goes and finds a clear spot and calls all the rest of the zombies to another spot where they're not quite getting shot at.
And Tommy, Spider Sense, knew exactly where they were going and anticipated and went there, Joe. He went there with all the flamethrower people, and they stood there waiting. And the bloater sees the people on the roof as they come in, but they break apart and they're in. And the flamethrowers are out there, and we get a lot of action as the bloater sees Tommy's wife on the roof and is going after them. And Tommy comes at him for distraction. And all the other, we've talked about this a few times tonight, Joe. All the other infected just ignore Tommy as he sort of comes at.
Yeah, why would they do that? Why would they just ignore him?
They do.
They just
They
run
ignore him.
past him.
They
Are they going to the gunshots? Because he's shooting a gun too, much closer than the other guns that are being shot.
the
So
only
if it's the sound thing, it makes absolutely no fucking sense.
Joe, the only thing that I can surmise,
stupid.
the only thing I can surmise is that those infected played the game, and they know Tommy is alive at this point.
Armor.
Yeah, Tommy has to be alive at this point, so they're fine with that. They end up working their last fucking butthole
But
off.
that's fine. I understand that he needs to be alive at this point, but don't do something that is so completely stupid and ridiculous. Like, yes, there are other targets for these zombies to be running at, but none as close as Tommy standing right next to them. There's only 4 people out on the street. It's the 4 people with the fucking gas tanks.
Do you know what's
right?
funny about?
Everybody else is supposed to be up on the fucking roof, so there's no reason why every single one of these zombies doesn't immediately run after him, especially once he starts shooting his fucking gun.
Now, don't get us wrong again. We both gave this episode pretty good scores. So we get a flamethrowers, and there's lots of action, and they're losing, but there's bloaters in the roof, and Tommy's on fire. Oh, wait. One sees him on the roof, but Tommy goes after him. He gets him. The roof is on fire. The roof is on fire. They fight them off. They head them off. Tommy is trapped, but after drawing a bloater, he eventually kills him. We talked all about this a lot of bit. Flame on. He burns it, and eventually it slows
Well,
it
he
down.
gets trapped in the alley, so it's even more dramatic. There's no escape. What's he going to do?
And he burns it, and it dies.
Oh my God, his tank, it's getting lower and lower. He's running out of fuel.
But he dies at the exact right fucking moment, Joe. The exact right moment. Oh my God. Oh, but then Tommy's wife goes in there and lets the dogs out. We talked about this before. And it looks like they're in need, but here they come to fight and help. And they kill like 3 or 4.
Even the clickers, the ones that have the full mushroom head that hunt by the clicking sound.
Yes.
Those zombies are even much harder to kill than just the runners, than the newly infected. But the runners are super strong and they're super fast as well. Because they got that fungus growing in them.
And what were the others that we met last week too? We were talking about those earlier. The smart ones. Are the smart ones mixed in there too?
The stalkers.
The stalkers. That stalkers mixed in. Stalkers don't go in the hordes. They hang out in the back.
Yeah, they apparently had their fungus. It has changed a little bit, or in all the people, it doesn't do the same exact thing. To the majority of people, it turns into clickers, and eventually, if the fungus does progress far enough, they can become a clicker and then a bloater. But if it doesn't, you'll see a lot of people that have died that their head is just grown out.
So a bloater essentially is a clicker that survives a long time.
Yes.
Okay.
Or has been stuck in in the game. It plays. They're more of like a watery environment kind of place or a damper place, or may have been stuck in like something like that.
We need to see a situation where we see more than one of them at once. That would be really dangerous. So, yeah, we already talked about letting the dogs out. As Abby and friends are yelling, as Abby comes back with the horses and Joel and Dina, and she jumps off. She says, get him inside, quick. And the dude comes in and helps, and Abby introduces to distract him. Oh, this is all their names. Nora, Mel, Manny, and one other name. But anyways, so this is Dina. He's Joel. He is Joel. And then they grab Dina by gun point, and as Joel's on the radio trying to get a hold of Tommy, and he said, and they're just like, don't do it or I'll smash her head in. Joel says, you want to rob us? And she says, do we look like raiders? Nope, you look like military fireflies. There are no more fireflies. They're all gone.
Have you met any since then?
Yep.
When was the last time you've seen a firefly?
Yeah. Tell me about the last time you saw a firefly. As Dina's like, no. I'm gonna knock Dina out for an hour. Did they do this whole thing with Tommy too? Like drug him for an hour?
They don't. I don't remember him being drugged. I think they just make him watch, and they don't do it for over like an hour-long period of time. And Dina gets there and she's still out, so it hasn't been a full hour. Like Dina didn't wake up at any point during that or when it.
It's a little weird, the whole drugging thing. Like the drugging thing seemed a little weird.
Yeah.
Red Lipstick Red Lipstick Club says they ignored Tommy because the infected had a leader, and they left him for their bloater who said he's mine. They're connected and still technically stupid. It's a hive mind, not critically thinking. So the hive mind sent the strongest of them.
That's not how a hive mind works. It's a hive mind. It's send all the fucking drones there because they are me. He's mine, and all of these little things around me are me. This is one mushroom. They're all one focus, one thing. Like,
so when the hordes are in the game, they're generally one focus.
Yeah, like it's kill everything, attack everyone. And since you're the only one, usually it's fucking just you. And when there's other people around, you're the one killing them. Not the fucking shamblers and walkers and all these other fucking things.
So we get into it a little bit more. We see breathing as she starts breaking it down to try to figure out and make sure this is the Joel. She's like, "You're 60, you got a scar, and can we all agree that Pedro is pretty fucking handsome?" She's like, "You're pretty fucking handsome." Did they say that handsome line in the?
I don't know, probably.
What was that?
I don't know. I don't know offhand.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Okay, or they threw that in for Pedro.
It probably is.
And she says, "I'm going to give you one chance to tell the truth and let her live." And there are all the people are like, "What the fuck?" And she's like, "Shut up! You're fucking ruining my buzz here, dude." Where was the last place you saw the fireflies? He says Salt Lake City. He doesn't fucking lie. He says, where was and she immediately shotguns the back of his legs. And she yells, "Tourniquet," as she leans over him and says, "You killed how many people? 18. One doctor, one unarmed doctor you shot in the head.
19 people.
19 people. That one you killed at the end, I wouldn't be doing this if you killed just those soldiers. You killed one doctor. That was my dad." The nurses said, "You barely looked at him. You walked past the body." That was number 19. And all the people are kind of looking at him with disgust. She said she's been in the militia. And this is the part that is hard to buy. She said she's been in the militia for 5 years and been training for this moment and all this sort of shit. She doesn't seem like it's been 5 years, but we've talked about that at length.
That she's been, training or dreaming of or taking this moment in any way seriously, aside from apparently gathering intel and clues as to where he might be.
Yeah, I guess that's the point. Almost doing more Sherlock Holmesy. And she says, whatever. We get a little reference to Seattle here about how nasty it is. Never go to Seattle, but you don't have to worry about that. You're helpless. Doesn't matter if you have a code like me or you're some lawless piece of shit like you. And she spots some golf clubs in the corner, and she's crying and she's freaking out, and she has sort of like tears in her eye. And she says, "I waited a long time for this." And she's grabbing the clubs and keep monologuing. And he interrupts her and he says, "Shut the fuck up. Do this already."
Yeah, what the fuck?
Like, come on. Like, if you're
gonna get off the pot, bitch.
I mean, I can't lie. As much as I'd be scared fucking shitless because I don't want anything bad to happen to me. If I was in this situation, I'd probably be more antagonistic. Like if I knew,
bring on the pain.
Yeah,
Let's go. I know what's happening.
Especially if I knew there was no way out, I'd be like, "You fucking motherfucker!" Till the end.
I've lost teeth. I've broken bones. Yeah. I've been impaled upon different various things in my life. Yeah. All pain I'm familiar with, and maybe not all at once. I've been punched. I've been hit. I've been kicked.
You got to figure it goes numb after the first couple.
And even if it doesn't, there's going to be an element of me or even you that is going to take joy from the frustration of which they feel every time you tell them to go fuck
Especially,
off. Even as you're spitting out teeth doing it.
yeah,
They're
especially
going to
once
be
you're used to it and you're just slowly dying there in that moment. You're like, you're fucking unhinged. Like,
because as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter what I say or do. They're not just killing me; they're killing Dina, even though they didn't. In my heart of hearts, I know they are.
we got the amazing DJ Better saying the drugging was a little weird. It's a little weird. Red's Lipstick Club adds, the hive mind is a group think, sheep mentality, where you blindly follow a leader, the bloater. As she spots...
Yes. But that's not... Listen, we're all reading into, like, this a little bit too much. Like, but sure, I'll give you it. The bloater said he's mine, so they all ignored him, even though it was before he even noticed him. He's stepping forward through the zombies. And even though he's already taking that many more bullets from the person on the roof that he's already focused at.
I'm saying it makes sense in the way it is. It doesn't mean it wasn't bad TV.
It makes little sense to me. It really does.
It does. It makes sense to me in the sense that, like, the Borg have a queen, and the queen makes decisions. It makes sense that maybe another hive mind might have a more, specific, can kind of delegate responsibilities to a certain extent.
To what point?
Sending certain amount of soldiers.
I want to capture data in Picard.
Joe, to the point of sending certain amounts of soldiers in one direction and certain amounts of soldiers in another direction, like zerging. Like I'm gonna send these ones here, these ones there. That's simple. I'm not saying complicated thoughts, like these ones in this direction towards this person, towards this target. These ones towards this target. Simple. The Borg can do that. I think I broke Joe.
No.
No.
Ready?
Yes.
You ready?
I'm ready. I'm gonna sit back. What?
No.
No? Simple no?
No. Just fucking plain no.
Joe didn't get stumped. Joe's pissed off. It's different.
The mushroom spore brain of it all is not military planning.
I'm not saying military. I'm saying directionally planning.
You zombies go right. You zombies go left. Quick, you 5 to that roof. You 5 to that roof. But he's mine. Don't anyone touch him. Everybody run past him. Don't worry. His bullets don't hurt.
That's not. It's not military. You're making it seem a little bit more complex than I'm trying to get across.
At no point in the game does a bloater like.
No, fair. Okay, so moving.
Just no. It's not a hive mind. It's a fungal mind.
Fair. It's a fungal mind, which isn't real, right?
No.
So it can be anything.
It can be anything. It's a highly trained, militaristic thinking hive mind.
No. You're taking a small aspect and expanding on a little bit.
This town it's never been. Yep.
You're such an asshole. Okay, so we continue. As she spots some Molotov clubs, she grabs what seems to be a 9-iron, I believe. Red Lipstick Clubs, just to continue this.
Like, even if you go by video game aggro, right? How you attract aggro in a game. This woman has pumped in so many more automatic rifle shots into this thing that the fucking 9mm pistol is gonna
aggro. Okay, I said aggro last time. Aggro. I just want to get Red Lipstick comment in here before it goes too far. If bees can build an intricate hive and ants can build a maze, humans can take over can't these fungus delegate an attack plan?
No. First off, it's a fungus.
Dude, you're Siskel and Ebert wrapped in one. I fucking love it.
No, it cannot. Bees are not a fungus. Bees are a
Thumbs
bee.
down.
Like, this is a fungus.
So you're saying the fungus knows one singular focus:
Reproduce.
reproduce and kill what's in front of you.
That's how this fungus reproduces. That's how this fungus transfers its spores.
Molds and funguses.
That's its focus is reproduction. That's what the focus of fungus and plant life is. Basic reproduction. That's their whole deal. Reproduce and reproduce, and then other things either take advantage of it or kill it so that they can do the exact same thing. Reproduce and reproduce.
Red Lipstick Club, I'm not arguing with you on that one. As she spots him golf club, she hangs him. What iron do you think she grabs? Is this like, it looks like the 9-iron, right? But it
It's
doesn't.
always the 9-iron.
It is the 9-iron. She says, "You stupid old man, you don't get to rush this." And she beats his legs first as he screams. They cut away, but she's beating the fuck out of him over and over again. Am I a sick fuck that I wanted it to be even more graphic? But that's beside the point. I wanted them to stay the camera on her instead of cutting it to just his face. But they did show a lot. So they go over and over again. One big hit to the face, but they cut away. They don't really show it. We go to Ellie on the horseback, arriving, getting closer and closer and closer. And Abby is still beating him. I thought it was even more effective after the fact with the over and over beating, like when she's beating him with the fists and shit, as they cut to his face and they cut to her.
They should have made it much more like the video game, and instead of stabbing him in the neck, like completely emptied his brain on the floor. Like, she beats his head in. I know it looks beaten and bloodied with her hand, but in front of Ellie.
So Ellie eventually does come in here, and she's like, "Dude, stop." And Ellie
needed the puddle scene afterwards to show how much she really cared.
Yeah. So she's heading in. She's up the stairs, as you can hear Abby screaming in the distance, and Owen and stuff. And she runs in, and he's screaming, "That's enough! Shoot him, kill him, finish it off, Abby." But Abby keeps beating, and Joel's still alive. And Ellie comes in there, and they Ellie kind of gets in her hits, but they eventually just pin her down, and one of the dudes just wants to fucking fuck her up. And
she cut him in the face.
Yeah, she cut him in the face. And Ellie begs, don't do it. And as Joe was saying earlier, she just stabs him in the back with the broken 9-iron. And
they'll tell her to finish it up to get it over with. Let's get out of here.
And is that how she does it in the game as well? She stabs in the back with the.
No, I feel like I remember.
She just beats him to
with the golf club. She completely fucking smushed. Like, there's nothing left. There's no
putting him out of his misery moment with the golf.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ellie snarls at her, I'm gonna fucking kill you. You're gonna die one day. I'm gonna fucking kill you. Don't you kill her right there? The person that tells you in that moment. I mean, I guess she can in front of her friends. Her friends wouldn't have let her do it right there. But if someone's telling me I'm gonna kill. But if someone's telling you in this world, after what you just did, I'm going to kill you one day, don't you just realize you're putting someone in the same position that you were just in? So just end it right now?
That's why, in my heart of hearts, sitting there as Joel, I know that I'm dead and Dina's dead. And the moment that Ellie walks in, I know that she's dead too.
Has to be.
Because still, we don't leave anyone alive.
In that situation, you don't repeat the same mistake that the last person did. The problem Joel made, I fucking hate to say it, wasn't killing 19 people. It was not killing...
Leaving 2 alive.
Yeah, not killing 21 people. Like, you don't... If you're gonna kill 19 people in a situation, I'm sorry, I'm not condoning, but again, these are television video game characters, not real humans. If you're gonna kill 19 characters and there's 21 alive and you leave 2 alive, you're asking to get killed.
Here's the fairness of it all too. Joel's not setting out to murder 19 plus people. We see him murder however many people he murdered, the 19, right? But he might have actually gone through more than 19 people in that sequence, or in the game anyway. It's definitely more than 19, and a casualty doesn't always mean death. So there could have still been other people alive that he had put bullets in or bludgeoned or stabbed on his way to go get Ellie. And that was his objective. His objective wasn't to kill all of these people. Why? For some reason, TV Joel left those 2 nurses alive, and real life Joe fucking murdered the 2 nurses as well.
Yeah, you get, and that's what I'm saying.
You wrong as the doctor you murdered.
Yeah, you got
no fucking different. They're not there like, oh, I need a paycheck and I need to feed my kids, so I'm doing this, and 9 to 5 fucking job, and I'm just following orders. They're there making the conscious decision to cut a living fucking girl's head open so they can study what's there and possibly make a cure if they can find all the right equipment, and all that right equipment is still in working fucking order.
Murder, death, kill. Okay, so one dude is taking joy of this whole situation with Ellie on the floor. The dude that got cut, he's just like, yeah, fuck you, Joel, and kind of like spits at him, gives him like, you got what you deserve, motherfucker. As we kind of cut over to her on the floor, as she cuddles with him and pulls the shit out of his back of his head, and we pan up in a diagonal. It's kind of a good shot. So we cut over to Abby and the crew walking away in victory mode. We cut back to the town, and they beat him, Joe. The town beat them all. Tommy got a different storyline. Him and his wife survived. Everyone else in town died, but it's a victory. And they beat everyone. You hate this. You hate everything to do with the town hard home situation, right?
I
didn't love it. I don't hate it. Again, nothing. We're giving this 6s and 7s and shit. We're 5 is average. Like, I talked you down to a 5. You call it average. 5.5, 6, whatever. I give it like a 6.5 or 7. Yeah. Okay. So we cut to Abby.
And we see.
Let's just
see them kiss.
Yeah, let's finish the end of the episode. We cut back to town. They kiss. They beat them, a lot of casualties. We cut over to Tommy and the wife. They're okay. We see Dina and the boss guy, Jesse and Ellie bringing Joel's body back, and that's the end of our episode.
Why did they leave one of the fucking horses?
Why did Abby and crew leave the horses?
So why did Abby and crew
leave them horses? Yeah, why did they didn't take all the horses?
And so they left 2 horses, but then Jesse shows up and gets Dina and Ellie. Ellie's been kicked. Okay, so her ribs fucking hurt. But there were 3 horses. There were still 2 horses sitting outside that they rode up there. And then Jesse rides up on a 3rd horse. But we see Ellie riding on the back of Jesse's horse, Dina riding on her own horse, and Joel being dragged in a fucking tablecloth.
So they must have only left 1 horse. But we
saw Abby walking away with her crew.
So did Jesse not have it? Did Jesse lose his horse?
Jesse rode up on a fucking horse to the fucking cabin.
So there should have been 3 horses, but there were only 2.
We see them walking away, and in the background, we see Jesse riding up to 2 horses.
Maybe they left one because Abby was too, because Ellie was too hurt to.
You don't have to leave it. It's got legs.
You bring it back to town. How many people in town do you think survived? As someone asked that question in the live chat.
Everybody in the basement survived. Half the people on the roof died.
Yeah. We got Doc Kaiju in the live chat. Great to see Doc Kaiju in the live chat. So that's the end of our episode, Joe. Now that we've talked about it, do you like it more or less?
Less.
Less.
Because while I'm watching it, my first watch, I have feelings. I have I'm caught up in a lot of this as well. But there are moments like the cloud that give me chance to think, right? And then when we start talking about it, I get more time to think about what I just watched.
Yes.
And I I wasn't like, this is a great episode. It didn't lose a lot of points. You didn't like talk me down. I wanted to give it just above an average marking, just above, right? But as we were talking, I feel like it is average. It's average. It's
I
no.
think it's slightly above average,
See,
personally.
I don't find it any different than mid-run, early mid Walking Dead
No, no.
episode.
Okay, we were talking about this in the early stream. Judge it based on other Last of Us episodes. Is this the best Last of Us episode that you've
No,
seen?
God, no. One or Frank were the best so far.
So,
It's like,
and what would those be for you? Like 7s or 8s?
I really liked the Frank episode.
So that would be a 10, 9 or 10 for you.
And the first episode is so much like
The game.
original game opening, slight differences that give you a little bit more feel.
I feel like you gave it a 9 at the time or something like that. Like,
yeah, no, that first episode and that Frank episode are definitely both tied at, and I watched them both recently again. They're tied for up there as the best episode. And then there's one of the episodes when they're going through Boston, the kiss episode until
Yep.
fucking the zombie kisses fucking what's her name. That's a good episode too.
I mean, we got the Shauna episode from Yellow Jackets Shauna.
Pittsburgh, that's shit. That's crap. They ruined what was Philadelphia. They ruined Pittsburgh was a ruined chunk of the game. Like, and it's left in the open as like you get chased by the cannibal people basically from Philly is what you're thinking, or at least maybe from at least Denver. But like one of the groups of raiders or bad people that you kill along the way are like, you don't know, but you have this strong feeling as the player of the game. It's not even mentioned in the game. And it's hinted to at the end or 3/4 of the way through when you take over as Ellie and you have to hunt this deer with a bow, and they kind of give you a training in the middle of the game. They give you like an opening of the game kind of training run with this bow and taking over as Ellie, right? So I don't know. They ruined that shit. The two best episodes came in the first half of the first season, and the finale of last season is still next up on the list, only because we finally got to see what Joel was capable of doing when Joel becomes Joel.
That was the closest to, even though again I haven't played the game, the closest I imagined it felt like to snap into. Yeah, like you're playing a game. We got the one and only, the amazing Walking David. If you're curious of the Walking David's thoughts on the first episode, who was even harder on it than Joe Dirty Locks, he asked, but jump on, make sure you subscribe to the Walking David's channel on YouTube and TikTok and everywhere you can find the Walking David, and check out his films and all the awesome stuff that David's doing. But he has some strong opinions on The Last of Us, so make sure you check that out. I'm curious what he thought of this episode as well. We're gonna take some live motherfucking chats and start to wrap things up, but we're not ending quite yet, but we'll start to wrap things up. Thank you everyone that's been tuning in tonight. We had over 50 people watching tonight at some points, so thank you to that. And we're not done yet, so don't go anywhere. Get your questions in. Now's the time to call in. 781-990-8509. I'm not sure if you guys want to call in or leave voicemails. We'll keep the call-in line open right now. If you want to call in, now's the time. We'll be on for about probably 10 more minutes or so, give or take, 10 or 15 more minutes. Top this off into like 2.5 hours. Holy shit, you guys are still doing this. Watch you guys with Game of Thrones. Yeah, we're still doing it, lurking. Buddha. Still doing it. People still aren't paying us to do it, but we're fucking doing this.
For the love of it.
Just for the fun. Just for the fuck of it. So let's get some comments in the live chat. What's in the cup? In the middle of the cup, anyone who donates gets balls in the cup. That's what guys like. Red Lipstick adds, Abby is a narcissist and wants to send a message. She wants them to survive to send a message. Continues to demonstrate her young recklessness as well. Oh, Anna's calling back in. Let's get Anna back live.
None of that was a message. That wasn't to survive to send a message, because they hunt you down. The town gets wind of it and they send a posse after you. You're on foot. They have horses. They have other things. It's a fucking town. What message are you going to send? Look what we did to Joel, and we left the little girl alive. So now don't come after us, because, 50 people, 100 people won't be able to get the job done.
Joe, we get a call. It's Anna calling back in. Let's get Anna back in the show. Welcome back, Anna. I think we're getting some audio issues here. But let me. Do we got you? I think we got you. Hey, welcome back, Anna.
I just called to argue with Joe. That's all.
Okay. Yeah, I'll sit back. I'll sit back and smoke my roach and let you guys argue for a few minutes. And if we'll do that before we'll wrap up here. So we'll argue with Joe for a little bit.
No, I think my hive mind point was pretty spot on. But why do you feel that it wasn't?
Because they're mushrooms.
Because what?
They're mushrooms.
Well, they're mushrooms on their own, but once they are attached to a human brain that is significantly more advanced than a mushroom, their ability to do things like plan out an attack. I mean, they've been doing this for over 20 plus years, right? So They've been connected this entire time. It's taken 20 plus years for them to even get the stalker, right? That didn't exist at the beginning. So they're evolving just like the human brain does. So it wouldn't be a surprise that they've basically planned out this attack for years, right? They have hidden in this ice. They've figured out how they needed to strategically align to have more of them available to be able to attack at once, because they've clearly realized if there's only 1 or 2 or 5 of us, there's not enough of us. Just like when you saw the bear attack, I think that was an example of them testing out what they could or could not do. Like, okay, if we're attacking this bear, it takes 4, 5, 6 of us to do that. What would it take for us to attack a ton of humans? Well, it's going to take hundreds of us.
Living,
how to keep ourselves alive to do that? When are they their most vulnerable?
1 second.
Right? They're the most vulnerable during the winter.
I'm
just saying. I just think it doesn't make sense to
1 second, Joe. I'll give you
believe
time.
that a mushroom attached to a human brain would only exist in that space when you've gotten to this point of evolution, right?
Oh. Excellent point, Anno. Joe, what's your response? Then we got, first of all, Walking David, thank you so much for the super chat donation. Wouldn't be a proper season premiere if I didn't buy the fellas a drink. Love you guys. I miss you guys. We love you, David. Thank you so much for the super chat. Everyone, thank you so much. Joe, what is your response to Anna here?
So then if they're if they're a hive mind and they're capable of all this thought and reason, we should sit down and negotiate with them. They are deserving of life too. As a new species on this planet, we should carve out a space for them.
They don't want to carve out a space for us.
To have their full thought in life moment. No, it's a fucking mushroom. It's not. They're not. And I guess maybe that's my disconnect between it and the game. There is no hive mind in the game, right? It's no interconnected stepping on them. It's solely spores and reproduction and mushroom growth infecting a human, causing the human to go crazy and do horrible, horrible shit. Like some evolve differently and can process stalking thought, but it's all about
1 second, Joe. 1 second, Joe. What was that, Anna?
But this is the show has evolved past the game. The show is clearly demonstrating from episode 2 that they exist as a hive mind and that they move as one and that they can send messages to each other. So despite whatever the game did, which I understand if you were only looking at a frame of reference where the game was all you had, maybe you would look at this situation and say, well, why would they do that? That doesn't make sense if I'm looking at the game. But this is a television show, and I feel like the television show clearly demonstrated from episode 2 of season 1 that they do speak to each other, that they do have more of a hive mind mentality, and then they've also never seen these cordyceps take over the mind of humans. They've only seen it take over the mind of an ant, which even with an ant, they were able to do quite a bit. This is the first time that you've actually seen something like this take over the mind of a human. And a human's brain is constantly evolving, right? We're constantly taking information in, processing things. So it wouldn't seem such a shock as time moves forward and as more individuals join this hive mind that they will become slightly more evolved. Like they're not geniuses, but I think they're ultimately at a point now where they can say, this is our biggest weapon, the bloater. Therefore, the bloater is going to take on this person, and we're going to be distractors, just like they had those others floating at the top, right, to keep the rest of us warm because we are the strongest. I feel like they figured out a way to figure out who is the strongest, who is the weakest, and the weakest you go on top, or when we get into a fighting situation, the biggest one is going to be the one that's going after the guy that we see as the biggest threat. So I feel like they're just taking the game and they're basically just evolving it a little bit. And so I because what happens is if we don't look at it from this perspective, right, we're basically looking at this situation as they totally failed in executing this live action interpretation of this game, right? But if you look at it from the perception of we're making some evolution, we're making some changes and adjustments, it's not as big of a fail. It's definitely it's a 6.5, right? It's not a 10. But you start to see it does look significantly better when you take a little bit more of a critical thinking perspective.
Very fair, Anna. Great point, Joe. I'm going to give you a chance to respond in 1 second. Anna, thank you so much because we're going to wrap up after Joe's response to great shit. And I just want to say,
you're welcome.
I just want to say that it's absolute what Anna I think is describing in a sense is headcanon, like is creating extra headcanon for what's happening in the show situation to describe what seemingly is happening on screen, rather than just saying like it was a shitty moment.
Okay. So as for and
we're gonna wrap up after your response.
It's been around for millions of years, and it hasn't changed what it does. It infects the ant. The ant climbs to a top of a fucking tree, steps out on a leaf, and its head fucking sprouts a mushroom and showers down spores down the tree where all the ants fucking live, and it infects more, and they go up, rinse and repeat, and it keeps happening and happening and happening over and over again, and it works. And that's all it needs to do to reproduce and survive. All the cordyceps virus needs to do is bite someone, and it reproduces and it survives. So it doesn't matter. They're not trying to kill people.
No, but
there's no reason for it to go after.
What I do want to bring up that Anna was saying that I think is relevant is, could the show be trying a different tack though? Like the show is, because it
is, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because the only thing the fungus wants to do is reproduce and survive. It's not trying to attack and kill everybody. It wants to infect everybody. So to run by someone and leave it uninfected makes no sense. The big thing isn't coming after it to kill it. In order to get it to stop shooting at me, that one can just fucking bite it. It's right next to him. Bite them, and I don't get shot at anymore.
Yeah, and I'm flashing on
because it doesn't take long for the cordyceps to kick in.
Joe is always right. Okay, so going on this, David's, and the most important thing that we all can remember here is that cunnilingus in psychiatry brought us to all of this, Joe. All of it. But What is not in question is we will be back next week. It's based on the ants, says Jackie C. Maybe even the game fungus gets smarter in order to affect once.
It takes a long time for things to evolve. And just to evolve to the point, whether by hands of human intervention, which we don't know if it was, according to Joel, some leaked into some fucking flour, and the flour got sent into pancake mix, and everybody.
You're like the air bone connected to the ass bone there, Joe.
Jumped to humans. It takes a long time for anything to evolve. And yeah, since maybe it did evolve to humans, maybe it can evolve and mutate with other things and mutate quicker. But the larger an organism is as well, the longer that organism takes to evolve.
So if they're not a hive mind, how can they sort of see and connect from such far distances? Like when the pipe starts feeling it, they all change direction. That seems very hive. To Anna's point, that seems very hive mind-ish.
So here's the thing: there's a forest. One of the largest.
And Jackie C says you admit they do evolve.
Everything evolves. Evolution is
so couldn't to Anna's point, couldn't they theoretically evolve to a point of sending?
Let's take the aspen tree, for example. Hold on. The aspen tree is the largest organism on Earth. It stretches acres and acres and acres and has thousands of stems that each look like a tree, but it's one tree, right? So maybe the aspen tree.
I'm ignorant to this aspen tree stuff.
That's one organism. Mushrooms spread out like that underground too, right? Just because you're big doesn't mean you don't feel it. Listen, Andre the Giant gets his toe stepped on. He feels it just as quickly as you do, Phil. He's 4 times the size of you, but he still feels it just as quickly. Those messages move just as fast, right? So it doesn't necessarily
mean that
because you step on the tendril here, and that tendril stretches a long way. Now, each one of these fucking things is its own. It's not. It themselves are not connected to the ground, but maybe while they're on or to the
red lipstick adds that aspen trees don't have a human brain as a starting point,
and neither the fucking a fungus doesn't either, and it takes over a human brain.
But so they're tapping into the possibilities of a human brain, aren't they?
Listen. The ant has a brain as well.
Not a human brain attached to any. There's no human brain in the equation, though. But there's no human brain in the equation. To that point, like these funguses are taking over human brain, so aren't they adapting and taking elements of that human brain into their consciousness to a certain extent?
Yeah, it has to reprogram the brain, just like it does to the ant.
So it understands the human brain, and the human brain is more effective and more developed than an ant. So wouldn't theoretically,
ants already possess a telekinetic hive mind fucking power. Humans do not.
Fair. They do, or bees do, or something like that.
Bees do as well. Ants do as well. Those insects possess that already. So, and it doesn't even affect those insects with cordyceps that are affected. It affects the one insect that is infected. So, but it's human.
So in real life where this happens, right? Because this happens in real life with fungus and insects, correct?
Right.
So in real life, they just become zombified and want to kill.
And once it gets infected, the fungus grows in it, and it walks to the top of a tree. It walks out to the edge of the leaf, and it freezes in place. And the mushroom fungus pops out its fucking head in a big spore thing, and then poof, it lets out all the spores that rain down over the tree, and hopefully infect other ants. But the infected ant doesn't then to any other infected ants, even though they already possess that power to begin with.
Interesting. Swifties have a hive mind, says Sonic, your boy. Yeah, well. I'm not done. We got.
That's a hive mind or Stockholm mind.
Joe and I have a mutual friend named O to the P. That's a Swiftie. Yeah, he's a Swiftie. Dang, comparing ant brains to human brains, Joe. What are you doing there? You know, it's not the same thing. But I mean, I guess it's. I mean, we get into a weird element where we're arguing
fantasy semantics
with science semantics, mixed, right?
Exactly.
So Anna
Anna
could be right. You could be right. Anyone could be right because it's made up shit. But if we're going that they're based around the science fiction element of this, that's based around some science that happens with the zombified insects, with the fungus and all that sort of shit that I don't know enough about to talk about, but I know it's based around some sort of science, right? Isn't this whole thing like it's more science fiction than made up bullshit, right? I mean, it's made up bullshit either way, but it's science fiction made up bullshit, right?
It's science fact turned into science fiction.
Right, correct.
Because the cordyceps virus is fungus is a very real thing. They've added the mutation to it, or the evolvement, or it's evolved to.
Is evolvement a word? Because I want it to be. If it's not, I'm making it one. Evolvement.
They evolved it to be able to affect humans, and so it has a basis in reality.
Semantics,
right? Something that could happen. Yeah, things jump species all the time. Viruses and bacterias that don't affect people one day, or some animals one day do eventually. Yeah. But it's if you want to believe they're of a hive mind and they have a bigger goal and petty fucking whatever,
I gotta be honest with you,
and they also want petty revenge like Abby and Ellie, then then sure, go for it. Your zombies have feelings.
Now,
because if that's a feeling the bloater has, I need my revenge, then he's capable of love too. What did you think? And then maybe we should try to sit down and negotiate with these things and carve them out their own little place to go fucking.
You guys wanted to hear it. We'll play it.
Shut the fuck up, Joe.
Like, what kind of emotion? How many different emotions do we want to give them? We already gave them rage. That's it. That's all they get.
Shut the fuck
they get
up,
rage.
Joe.
They don't get love, but they get hate and they get the petty revenge. So only I get to touch Tommy. Right here. Show me where the bloater touched Joe the doll, Tommy.
Now, we'll get Joe's thought on that next week because I want to make sure I hear Tony and Gray's argument in clarity. If anyone wants to put it in the live chat, we can finish on that to get Joe's thought on that indirectly. But ultimately, it is about whether Joel was, I think, because I haven't watched both their videos quite yet, it's about whether Joel did the right thing or is a good person for saving Ellie and killing all those people, or did a bad thing, essentially, I think is what their arguments are. Is that right, Sonic your boy? Correct me if I'm wrong. Explain the gist of it so we can get Joe's quick thoughts. I'm going to be on with them on Wednesday, so I'll hear them.
The moral question, did Joel do the right thing? We answered that. We've talked about that a dozen times.
What do you think?
That's been talked about since the game. Was Joel right in doing what he did when Ellie could have saved Listen.
Do the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few?
Yes, if you are certain. Where's the certainty that cutting Ellie open, that these fucking stupid fireflies who are following around this woman and fighting the fight against the Fedra, and now we're going to save the world because they found a fucking guy that used to be a vet at the zoo that says he can perform the perfect vivisection on this chick and then create.
You got to keep her alive. I think nonfiction's right. You got to keep her alive to study her antibodies and shit. Like you don't kill her.
Let's harvest everything and we'll study it later.
Nah.
like killing her is no guarantee that whatever you were doing or harvesting or getting from her was going to help in any way, shape, or form.
Nope, not
and
even
if
a little
it
bit.
didn't, then what do you say? Oh, well, maybe we should try to redo the experiment and impregnate a whole bunch of women, have them bitten. It's for the greater good, whether they like it or not. Whether they like it or not, we're going to impregnate them, and then we're going to have zombies bite them at childbirth.
You twisted
so that
fuck.
we can then have more Ellies and then cut them open because, hey, if it's for the greater good, it's for the greater good. Argument solved.
Yep, you're done.
You either agree with that or Joel did the right thing. Because killing the little girl or taking 100 women and forcing them to have children and then forcing them to be bit, there's not much of a difference.
So Spock's sacrifice only mattered because he knew he was the only one that could do it, and he knew he would save the ship. Like 100%.
He knew he would save the ship.
100%.
He knew he could do it. You do it.
I'm not saying I disagree. I'm going to wait. I don't know who's on either side of the argument. I must admit I have not listened to Gray or Tony's video yet. I will, obviously, before Wednesday, or I might not even. I might just wait to hear their argument there because I'm supposed to be an impartial.
When does it become not for the greater good? How many little girls do you get to cut open before it's crossed the line and we don't know what we're doing?
Nonfiction says Joe's on the side of Gray area because Joe literally just said what Gray area said in her video. So I guess Joe's on Gray's side in this argument. I don't know.
Where's the line? How many little girls do we get to cut open to find the cure? Perfectly healthy little girls that are living fine, that are capable of doing things and contributing and surviving. How many of them it's unjustified anymore?
I mean, does it give a, again, it depends on, you said it depends on the chances that it takes. Is it a guaranteed thing to getting that part of Ellie's brain?
What if I told you it might not be guaranteed this time, but if I get to do it 100 times, the chances increase every time. So after I did it once, Phil, and I told you that, the chances, I'm just getting this shit. And then, but, the next time I'm like, the chances went up by 10% because now I know a little bit more. When does it stop? Even when you're making that, well, I'm at 95%, but if I cut this one open, I'll get to 95.5%. Sure that I can do it.
But at any, just to argue the other, just to argue the other side, though, at any point, do you have to try to make an effort to try to figure it out? Is there a way to try to figure out a way to not kill her and still access what you need to access to try to test some shit? I mean, you got to keep trying, though, right?
Phil, how many working fucking MRI machines are still out there at this point?
There's got to be a bunch, right?
Working ones.
I mean,
been maintained over 20 years.
Why would the fuck? I mean, not maintain, but you could get them working. Like, why are the fucking?
Who's left to fucking operate them? Who's left to know how to fucking run them? Who's left to know how to read them?
What's there to run? You turn it on, you turn it off. It's like a copy machine. You just turn the button on. Oh, shut up! Shut up! I know you're in the medical industry, so you want to make it seem like it's a fucking magic fucking operation. But to operate an MRI machine, you know what you do, Joe? You push a fucking button and you turn the fucking you turn the copier on, and it fucking X-rays what the fuck the thing is, and then you go, oh, there it is on the fucking computer screen. It's not that difficult. You don't need people to learn how to run it. That's different. That's different. Learning to analyze what you're looking at, I'll give you. But just being able to use the machine, I could do it. Yeah, anyone could do it. I'm an idiot. I could do it. You're telling me you couldn't? Yeah, I don't believe you've ever been.
I don't want to say no to that because I've seen them run, and I know that they're all easy to run.
That's what I'm saying. That it's a button. It's a Jetsons button.
What I'm saying.
I'm not saying interpreting is impossible. That's science.
To keep it running.
Yes, but if it's what, like on hold. Well, I was thinking of a word, idle. If it's idle for 20 years, most likely it's going to work when you turn it on, probably, right?
Most likely it's not.
A car worked and lost after like 30 years.
Yeah, and
Lost is science,
yeah.
Right? Isn't lost science?
Yes, cars, and they, even in The Walking Dead,
They're going to work. 30
The
years
batteries
later.
are still working 15 years later after sitting there. You leave a car in your fucking driveway for 2 months without fucking starting that shit. 3 months. Yeah, bad fucking chance.
Razor says, rest in peace to HBO. They should look for a science. Apple cider vinegar. That will just cure the fungus right away. Every MRI machine has done with medical assistants, not experts. It does take a doctor to interpret those results, though. It does. Joe, that's literal. Even if there's a cure in Ellie, it's not in her brain. It's in her, like, white blood cells or something. Boom! Get some tough actin, Joe. Joe, any last thoughts? This is a big episode, so we want to make sure we got everything out. Is there anything else about this episode compared to the game that you wish you got to see, or anything that this episode did better?
Well, I told you what I wanted to see from the start of the season, which we didn't get.
No.
Because what do I know about making good TV? I've never done it.
No, we don't. This is why you're getting paid to help people in real life, and I'm getting paid to pick up dog shit. So basically, we're not getting paid to make television, even though we would make good television.
I mean, there's a definite, as far as TV goes, I really wish I didn't know anything about the video game.
Right. That's an interesting question.
I would probably be enjoying this a lot more than I am.
Yeah. I mean,
and maybe I give it a higher score than
that's an interesting question. Do you have the compartmentalizing ability to look at it like as if you didn't know the game right now? Would you think this was just good TV?
And so that's where I get back to. I said that I was going to watch this season with that in mind.
Is this good TV?
As far as I'm concerned, with that in mind, I am putting my score back up
to a 6.5,
to a 7.
6.5, 7 with me.
Yes, only because as far as TV goes,
is this better than Negan?
Better than average.
Is this better than Negan?
Held my attention.
You talked about this being Negan-ish. Is this better than Negan?
Of course, Negan was like the worst.
Is this better than?
It was the worst. It was one of the worst moments on television.
Is this better than Ned Stark or the Red Wedding?
No, not even close. Or Hard Home, not even close. It holds nothing to any of those. And like I said, it's on kin to like some of the shit you might have seen in Legend or World War Z.
Yep.
But ultimately, it's
from a TV shock moment kind of standpoint, is this up there for you, or is this just like you saw this coming, they called their shot a bit too much?
Well, of course I saw this coming. Like,
ooh, Joe, hot bug question from nonfiction: was Vikings good after Ragnar died?
Of course not.
You didn't like Ivar the Boneless?
I didn't like any of his kids. Any of his kids past the very first Bjorn. Once Bjorn got older, I was out. Come
on, you and honestly, I've written a lot of parody songs and shit over the years. The worst one I ever did was the Ivar song. It's horrible. It's worked.
Ivar was like the worst.
There is a man in the Viking age. See, horrible, Joe. With the boundless Viking age, boundless rage. He's Ivar. No. It's awful. No, he's horrible. No, I mean, I think there were some good episodes after Ragnar died. Come on, Ivar the Boneless, fuck them all, Joe. That's a great... No, and I haven't watched any of the Netflix Ivar series either. I haven't been able to get into it. Okay, we'll call. It's about been 3 hours, so I'll let Joe go. And we thank you. We have the most people watching right now, which honestly means more than we know. That's the thing that kept us going here for another 20 minutes or so.
That means the West Coast just finished airing.
Exactly, the West Coast finished airing, so I felt like we had to keep going for a little bit, Joe. without stopping, because I was looking in I was like, oh, we keep, even now we're still at like our general we're like 48 50 people right now, so I'm almost like I don't want to say goodnight to you guys aren't going anywhere, it's like you're hanging out, so it feels bad to say goodnight to you guys.
They don't gotta go home, but they can't stay here.
Exactly, but we will be back next week to do this again. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this channel. But I will be back on Wednesday evening, just in a moderator role. I actually have to get up really early on Thursday morning to do a kid show, so I have to be extra quiet. But Gray Area and Tony will be debating the Joel good person versus bad person debate, and I will be back with Tony on the pregame show before the episode airs at 7 o'clock next week. So make sure you subscribe to Teflon TV, Gray Area as well. And Joe and I will be back after the episode airs next week to do the recap and talk all about this motherfucking shit. And next week's going to be a big episode, Joe, because this show needs to pick up the pieces. And I expect a very low-key kind of filler, feel sad episode. Everyone's like catching up kind of moment. I doubt we'll get any more infected after that big infected attack. I mean, most of the season's budget probably happened in that episode, and so the rest of the season will probably be very low key.
Wasn't on that fucking cloud.
What are we talking about? Galactus and the Fantastic Four movie? Do you watch any of the Fantastic Four trailers?
No. I don't. No. Fantastic Four is stupid. Always has been. Yeah. I don't know why they keep trying to push.
Did you watch the new? Did you watch the Daredevil Born Again?
No, I will not. I told you that. Will not.
You refuse to watch it?
I refuse to watch anything
Disney Plus,
Marvel, Disney, or Marvel, Star Wars.
You're done. Yeah, you retire.
Marvel or Star Wars, Disney. I will never again am I going to watch any of that shit. I don't care. Some of the movies, yes, but as far as like television shows, for those two franchises, I will not watch a second of any of them. And you know what? I'm probably being extra critical on this episode too, because over the last day and a half, Katie and I have been doing a rewatch of what I think is probably one of the best sci-fi action television series ever.
What's that?
Ever. It's not the one you're thinking, Phil, which is what?
Babylon 5?
Correct. But it is also made by J. Michael Straczynski.
Of course.
And the Wachowskis.
The Expanse?
No.
No, what is it?
Sense8.
Oh, Sense8. I've heard of it. I haven't watched it.
It's fucking amazing. It's you haven't heard of it?
No, I've heard of it, but I haven't watched it.
Oh, okay.
No, I've definitely heard of it.
I love the show. Listen, that show brings me from laughter to tears to excitement on the edge of my seat. It starts as a slow roll, really does well investing you in its main characters, and fucking hits you like a ton of bricks a couple of times every episode. They do such a great job with the writing, with the dialogue, with the soundtrack, with the colors.
Joe,
the vibrancy of a lot of
Joe, one of your worst opinions of all time. I'm gonna follow up for Sonic your boy. Joe, would you have been happy, and what would have happened if Snyder continue with the Justice League with that universe? Would you have been excited, and what would you hope to see? Because I know you're one of the few people that actually likes the Snyderverse. Are you excited at all about this new Superman movie?
So I liked the cut, the second cut of that movie a lot.
Yeah, you did, and you didn't hate Batman versus Superman or the Flash movie or any of those sort of shits.
I rewatched the Flash movie the other day, and there are aspects of it that I really like.
It's a little member-berry, but like few too many movies have done that same thing. I think the one that does it the best is probably the Spider-Man one, because it was or the Ninja Turtle one, which was first one too that did it too. But then Spider-Man one probably does it the best.
Spider-Man movie, bringing in all the Spider-Men and the villains, that was amazing. That was a great
and the fact that it all actually worked
Yep.
like was actually really fucking impressive. They made it
Yep.
work.
They did it okay with the Flash because the Flash does fuck with time.
Yeah.
The Flash fucks with time.
I think the TV show did it better though.
I couldn't get into any of the DC.
Fair. I mean, it's
television
I'm
stuff.
90210 friendly, so I got into that shit a little bit easier than you would get into that, but I understand. I understand. And I thought I think Wolverine and Deadpool movie did it to, you know, comedic extent, which was all right. Doctor Strange was kind of lame. A lot of movies tried to pull that shit off.
Yeah, no, I'm not sad to see Snyderverse go. There's nothing I would have been. I'm upset that didn't happen, or even that did. I really liked the first Superman movie a lot.
Yeah, I hated it. I hated that
I
piece.
watched that a few times.
I hated that piece of shit.
Let's see, but ultimately, Gunn. Is it Gunn that did Peacemaker?
Yes.
And stuff?
Yes, needs to be doing the
I'm
Superman.
excited to see his shit.
He's doing he's doing the Superman movie. He did the Superman movie that's coming out.
I'm really excited for this. I loved season 1 of Peacemaker. I'm still sitting on the edge of my seat for season 2.
Coming soon. Coming soon.
I probably liked those Suicide Squad movies and Harlequin movies more than most people that are fans of the genre.
One of them was done by Gunn, I believe, as well.
Yep.
Garfield's my favorite dude in Spider-Man. I like Garfield's playing Spider-Man. You can tell he loves the character most of the three. I think his movies abandoned him, so that's why that movie is very good for him. He's very good in that movie. Him and Toby both kill it in their appearances in that movie and add more to their roles within that movie, and it makes their movies better. I think that's what that movie does excellently and surprisingly well. It makes Toby's movies better, and it makes Andrew's movies better just by existing.
It completely makes all of the movies better. It ties all of the movies in. I thought it was brilliant to do.
I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it.
And I thought they did it great.
Okay. On that note, everyone, thank you so much. If you haven't already and you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share the channel with a friend. Joe and I will be back next week for another 3 hours or so, or 2 to 3 hours of babblery. Love you guys. Talk to you next time. Love you guys. Oh no, Shauna, get off the screen. Okay, we are good. But yeah, we had 10 more